Hey guys, Sly here, and before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know that this is actually a re-upload of a part of a series that I do on my Twitch channel called the Sly Army Tierlists, where we pretty much rank a bunch of just random topics that I'm personally interested in. And so, because of that, these opinions are not set in stone for how I feel about in the current day. And so if you guys want a more updated version of that, feel free to either check out the DeviantArt link down below or tune in on my Twitch that will also be in the description, or check out my Discord where I occasionally post some more updated versions of how I feel about certain topics. And so do keep that in mind. And also make sure to check out the description of the video itself for the timestamps for the particular topic that is presented here. But in any event, I hope you guys do at least enjoy. I recommend you guys listen to this as either like a podcast form or as just something to play in the background. But in any event, hope you guys at least enjoy. Hey guys, Sly here, and welcome back to another episode of the Sly Army Tier Lists. Today I am here with yet another guest. Hold on, I have myself muted on his end. So here we go. Is he here?
Hey,
Yes.
I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, we brought back Goldie. So
You had to. This was.
yeah, this is your expertise, and admittedly, it has been a while since we've had guests. As a matter of fact, the last one we did was back in February for the second tier list we shall not name right now. So
I was an expert for Minecraft back in the day when it first came out. I was among that first generation. Back in 2010, 2011, I was among that first generation to really get into it as a kid. So I'm excited for this.
I haven't even announced the tier list, and you're already talking about it.
Well, good thing I didn't name any names.
Okay, so in all seriousness, though, I'm actually pretty excited to talk about this one because we are actually going to be talking about, well, Minecraft stuff. Now, funny enough, I did technically do a few Minecraft tier lists whenever I explored like a bunch of the ones for community tier lists, where people have already kind of pre-made them. I think I did like a generated structures one, but funny enough, there weren't really a lot of people actually doing like Minecraft updates, like a Minecraft update tier list, let alone one that actually pretty much had every single major update that was released. And so I thought it'd be pretty fun to go in here and just kind of, discuss all the features that were added in Minecraft throughout the years, and just kind of, just casually talk about our favorite and least favorite versions of Minecraft. And of course, you can talk about your experience with Minecraft. So
yeah, my spooky experiences.
So this is your turn to talk.
Just are we beginning? Are we beginning the?
No, I want you to kind of talk about like your experience with Minecraft first. So
Minecraft it's a game that for a large part of my childhood it had such a huge impact on I don't know, it just had such a huge impact on me and my friends growing up that it was just an ever-present constant in my life from 5th grade and into high school, but slowly fizzled out a bit afterwards. But it's still a game that is one of my favorites, definitely in top 5, probably even top 3 of just favorite games of all time. And it's something that even today, while maybe not as much as I used to as a kid, I still casually play it on a regular basis. So I have a poster of it in my room Like, I don't know what else to say than just that it's dear to my heart. It, just another one of those games really that was really helpful for me as a kid growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this game. I love it a lot.
Yeah, as far as my experience, I came a little bit after. I came around 2013-ish. As far as actually playing the game, I've known of the game for a while, but I didn't actually finally play it until like a year later. And whenever I finally first played it, well, obviously I enjoyed it. And you guys know the history. It was the first game that I remember doing on YouTube. It was a really shitty mod showcase that was not very good. But point is that it does mean a lot to me. And, well, for me personally, it is also one of my personal favorite games of all time. Dare I say, right behind Sly Cooper, it's my second favorite game of all time. So it means a lot to me as well. And it was the thing that actually got me into wanting to do content online, whether it be YouTube or Twitch. It's just something that means a lot to me. And I mean, hell, I still have the poster I've had for like 11 years. I mean, look at this. I mean, I've showed this off before. So, yeah, like I've had that yeah, it's above a Green Day poster, which makes you happy as well. But yeah, it means a lot to me. And there's just so many memories that I cherish from playing the game. And I thought it'd be a good idea to dedicate one specific tier list to just talking about Minecraft. And that's, of course, what we're doing with this updates. But before we get into the rules with this, I want to, of course, give a shout out to Goldie on here. For those who don't know, he does a lot of, art, and he's kind of working on his own story. So if you guys want to check that out, the Instagram is in the link right there. That would greatly appreciate it.
Very casually working on my own stories, but yeah, I still try to post art on a somewhat consistent basis.
So yeah, make sure to check out. He's been a friend of the channel for a while, and it would greatly benefit him if you guys check that out. So, but yeah, let's get into actually what we're ranking, shall we? So, we are going to be ranking the actual updates that Minecraft has seen. Minecraft is technically, in the broadest term, a 15-year-old game. Yeah, it had an official release in 2011, but the origins of this trace all the way back to 2009. And the game has seen massive changes as far as gameplay and mechanics. And I think that a lot of people, or at least back in the day, used to kind of talk about updates in a major way. Now people just kind of talk about updates more so for what is being brought now as opposed to what was. Because I feel like that used to be the conversation, at least around whenever I first started getting into Minecraft, like back in 2013, 2014, 2015, that was kind of the major talking point, was talking about the individual updates and the versions of Minecraft that existed back then. And I feel like that conversation has kind of shifted away, but I still kind of think it would be a cool way to kind of talk about what was implemented at the time and how cool it was and how well those updates have held up. And we're not just doing official versions here. I've also included beta, alpha, and pre-alpha versions of the game. So we're covering every single era that has existed from 2009 up until the most recent update with 1.21. So, now, that being said, there are a few rules I do want to go over. So, rule number 1, as far as this is concerned, we are ranking these based off of not only what was added, but also, like, not just physical blocks, mobs, biomes, all that fun stuff. We're also ranking them based off of the mechanics that they either also added or even just straight up changing like a lot of the set mechanics. Like, how well did those impact? And keep in mind as well, and this is number 2, we are ranking these based off of the Java versions of the updates, as that is the version that I am the most used to. Bedrock does share the same numbers as well, so if you are a Bedrock player, it's going to be relatively the same. But unfortunately, my Pocket Edition friends and my Xbox 360 and PS3 friends, not that those game versions have been updated in years, but we are not going by those numbers. We are going by the Java Bedrock numbers. So, but more specifically Java for me, because that's the version I'm the most used to. He's a Bedrock player nowadays, Goldie. So.
Yeah, kind of where I found myself.
Yeah, so
I don't have a particular preference.
So yeah, like, for me, the differences do matter, but keep in mind, we do have both the perspective of someone who's a Java player and someone who's a Bedrock player. So keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind, rule number 3, we are not going over specific, like, sub-updates, like, 1.6.4, 1.7.10, 1.16.5. We're not, like, going specifically like that. We are doing just the general broad numbered updates. So if it has a different middle number, that's the versions we're going to be talking about. And I think that's only fair because a lot of the different, we'd be here forever if we were talking about like each individual sub updates, but also a lot of those smaller updates typically were just updates that added, they were basically just patches. They weren't like,
just fixes.
Yeah, like they were just bug fixes and patches to that specific version of Minecraft and not like an overhaul. There were some weird exceptions in which they did add in some mobs, but that was very rare. So do keep that in mind, is that we are just talking about just the broad updates as a whole. So, and I will warn everyone, I do have some takes that are going to be very, very different from a lot of people, at least from what I've done with my research, because keep in mind, this is coming from also from the perspective of someone who plays mostly in creative mode. So
same.
Yeah, so as far as like survival mechanics, I am still going to judge them based off of that, but keep in mind, creative mode is more so my expertise. And also, this is the final thing. Okay, actually, I'm going to ask you this before we get into the specifics, because like I feel like this is a very important point. Should mods matter? Yes or no?
Like to the list?
Yes.
To the specific list? No.
Okay, because that determines huge things. So,
like, do you say mods or mobs?
Mods, M-O-D-S.
Mods, yeah, mods shouldn't matter because that's a separate category. That's player-created content.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, like, I asked you, because let's just say that, like, your experience with certain Minecraft versions will be vastly different. So
if you mod it or not.
So we're talking vanilla Minecraft here.
Yeah, I've never modded my Minecraft at all. Like,
Damn.
I've never played. I've never played modded in all these years. I've never played modded. So the modability of certain updates was never a factor for me. And even if it was, this is what Mojang releases themselves, not any player created content.
Damn, I always mod my game. But it's fine. But yeah, you get the point. Is those, I think, are the criteria. Is that fair? So
yeah.
Okay. And of course, last but not least, this is just my personal opinion, and it's just Goldie's personal opinion. If you disagree with us, that is completely fine. Let us know down in the comments or in the chat if you disagree. Just obviously be respectful about that, because I try to make sure I respect. Though I will I have a feeling there is going to be a debate between me and Goldie about certain updates, but we'll get to those when we get to those. Because again, my takes are more different than a lot of people's. So, but yeah, either way, I think we're ready to get into this, right? So,
I'm ready.
Okay. So, let's begin with all of the I think we're going to actually do these in chunks. We're not going to do these like individually. As I mean individually, I mean like, we're going to do this similar to what I did with Saimori with the FNAF character tier list, where I kind of group ranked them and then I individually talked about them. So yeah, we're going to start with the pre-alpha versions of Minecraft. So pre-classic, early classic, mid-classic MP, also known as multiplayer test, survival test, also we're going to call it mid-classic survival, and then late classic. I think we'll do those first 5, and then we'll do the other 3. So pre-classic.
Pre-classic.
Okay. So you cannot put this in F tier because it's the very earliest version of Minecraft, but I don't think you can put it in S tier either. I'm gonna put this.
I think I put this squarely on C tier, in that it's a blank canvas. C tier.
Yeah, C tier. Yeah, sorry. Let me rank the other ones before we get into it. So yeah, pre-classic, I'll put that in C tier. Early classic, I'll put that in B tier.
Because it started to add the, mining aspect to Minecraft with gold, iron, coal.
Mid-classic, I'm gonna put, or mid-classic MP, I'll put that.
I'll put that in a B tier because that added multiplayer. Actually, I would just put that as an A tier, honestly, because that added the multiplayer aspect to Minecraft, which is huge.
Okay, yep. Yeah, I'll put it in B tier. Mid-classic survival, I'll put that in A tier, and then late classic, I'll put in C tier. So let's go over each individual. So pre-classic. You cannot put this in F tier because it is the earliest version of Minecraft. Yes, it is extremely bare bones because it is just nothing but a flat plane. But
nothing but you.
Yeah, nothing but you, except later on where they added in the humans, which was the first mob. But even just kind of in its very bare bones, you can at least see like the vision that Notch had for this game, because there's very, 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 very few blocks that you can actually use. There's only there's only 2 blocks in this version. But the fact that like even in this you can still just kind of create whatever castle-like structure you want is pretty impressive. Like, to put this in perspective, for 2009, there were very few sandbox games that existed. Yeah, there was Gary's Mod that existed, but like even then, there wasn't a game, at least to my knowledge, that had that amount of freedom, even in comparison to something like modding Doom, for example. So, like, you can definitely see the potential being there. It definitely needed a lot to have. So, I think it's only fair to put it in C tier. So, you agree?
Yeah. As far as pre-classic is concerned?
Yes.
Yeah, because pre-classic, at the end of the day, is just sort of a blank canvas. Like, as the game was at that time in 2009, it could have been terrible, but it also could have been great. And I mean, thankfully in this case, it was an absolute S tier of a game. But as far as objectively looking at pre-classic as it was in May of 09, it's either or. So I think it comfortably, one of the few things on these tier lists that I can say comfortably fits in on like right in the middle of C.
Yeah, like
not a high C, not a low C, but like 50-50 a C.
Yeah. That's fair. All right, and then we got early classic, which this added in like actual terrain, as well as an infinite ocean, which also means it added in water and lava, as well as like some of the bare bones, stuff like gravel and logs and stuff like that. It even added in bedrock. So it is a step up from pre-classic because there is a bit more variety, and with that variety obviously comes with, well, the fact that you can actually create more creative stuff with it. So
it's added ores, which it basically just add gold, iron, coal, like, which kind of the whole mining aspect of Minecraft.
Yeah, like we would start to see the early beginnings of just that aspect of Minecraft start to take shape by this point. It still had a lot to go, but like I think most people would probably say they'd rather play early classic than just play pre-classic. I think that's only fair to say. So that's just me personally.
Yeah, I would still put early classic as a B tier just because it just was a big push forward into what the game was supposed to be about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's only fair. All right. Mid classic MP, also known as the multiplayer test. I was debating on putting it lower, but you did convince me to put it in a B tier because this was the version that did test out multiplayer. Granted, keep in mind it was very janky. So, but that makes sense since it's called multiplayer test. So I am going to be a bit more forgiving, but the fact that it added in multiplayer is huge. Because this could have just been a single player game. And that would have
like the multiplayer aspect has made relationships happen. Like the multiplayer aspect of Minecraft has had significantly positive impacts on people's lives. So just that first step, I feel, makes me put it at like an A tier, just because they increased the not just longevity, but just the quality of the game so much by just that simple addition.
By the way, this also added in sponges, glass, dandelions, roses, mushrooms, and blocks of gold. It also added in the actual inventory, like the beginnings of the inventory system that we know, and the chat log. So I'd say that's fair enough to still put it in B tier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I would put it a little higher, but yeah.
And then we have the survival test. Mid-classic, survival.
The MP test.
I'd say this is the first significant update for sure. Because this was the first update to add in mobs. But like mobs that we know them today. Because this was the version that added in zombies, skeletons, spiders, pigs, and, well, you see it on screen right there. The most iconic mob in the entire game.
Well known.
The creeper.
Mob.
Now, that being said, creepers were kind of weird in this version. Because this is the version where they didn't actually explode immediately. They, exploded when you killed them. So, admittedly, that is kind of just really jarring to look at. But I still do find this to be, just for the mobs alone that this added in. There were still, human mobs roaming around.
keep in mind they were still in the game up until I think it was alpha. So, but like adding in more variety, especially, and keep in mind the reason why this is, I also consider this a big deal, is because this is the version that added in survival mode. Because keep in mind that like the versions we just talked about had creative mode.
It was all creative.
Yeah, it was all creative. Which again, as a creative mode guy, that's cool. But you know, sometimes you want to be able to like do other things, and well, this added in survival mode.
Survival is a big half of what people remember with this game.
Yes.
So that's another reason. That's another reason why I would put that in an A tier as well. Because again, we're starting to really get, you know, as far as these, you know, these classic eras, these classic builds go. I'm more so judging these on, you know, how further along do they. How further along do they? Trying to find the right way to say this.
How further along do they help like impact the game in a more positive direction?
Exactly. How do they get Minecraft to becoming what we know it is today, and why we see it as something that is just so special to us?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so that's why, you know, putting things like survival and multiplayer with mid-classic MP are just reasons I put those in an A tier, because we're starting to get these ones add the core mechanics, like just the baseline mechanics of how the game plays, not just the environment.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I think this is also the version that added in trees, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, let me check the log. I made a log of everything on here on the side, by the way, for those who are wondering, just so that I can remind myself what was added.
Survival test?
For every single version. I gave you the document.
I'm looking at the document. I'm trying to find.
Yeah, it's the fourth one down. Okay, yeah,
Survival
this also added, yeah, blocks of iron, eating, and yeah, even this early on, they had before they had experience, they had the point system. So, for example, like if every mob you killed, they gave you like 10 points. It basically works similar to how experience works now. Obviously, it'd be reworked, but yeah, that system was pretty early implemented in the game. So, but yeah, you get the point. I do think that like the fact that this added in survival mode and it added in mobs that would pretty much stay throughout the rest of the game, I think that puts it, at least for me personally, above multiplayer. Although keep in mind, you're also talking to someone who doesn't play too much multiplayer on Minecraft anymore. So
fair.
So yeah,
but I guess I'm just sort of judging these. I guess I'm personally judging these more just in a broader, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
In terms of for everyone.
Yeah, that's
rather
fair.
than my personal. I'm sure there'll be. I'm sure once we get to the later updates, though, the more personal.
Yeah, once we get to official, that's where things will change.
Yeah, once we get to like mobs and biomes and structures, what have you, that's when I'm going to start getting personal. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll scream eventually.
And then the last of the classic era, we've got late classic.
Late classic.
I mostly put this in C tier because the changes that were added in weren't really all that significant in comparison.
I mean, it adds sheep, which is vital because, you know, without sheep, no beds. But
beds didn't exist in this update, though. That's the problem.
Yeah,
so
sheep were practically kind of useless, and sheep didn't have mutton. Sheep wouldn't be able to produce mutton.
Yeah, that wasn't a thing until 1.8. Like,
yeah, so like sheep and at this time were essentially useless.
Yeah.
So kind of why this gets put lower with pre-classic.
Yeah, like I'd say, yeah, that's why I'm putting it in C tier. Like, because I mean, the only other things it added was obsidian, which again was also useless at the time because there was no nether for another year, and it basically, like, I guess the only thing that it did add was it changed the building mechanics into how they are now. because beforehand it basically just like it was like before how it was now. It was left click to build, right click to unbuild / attack. No. Oh wait, no. It was left click to build, and then right click to demolish. But left clicking was also to attack mobs. They changed it to where it is left click to like destroy and attack mobs, and then right click to build with this version. So I will give it credit where credit is due in that regard, but like that's the kind of the only thing, and you could argue that could have been added in either an earlier or later update.
Yeah, that could have been added at any time, really.
So yeah, that's at least kind of how I feel about Late Classic. It's not a bad update, but it's definitely one that I would argue is
a little underwhelming.
Yeah, a little bit like underwhelming in the grand scheme of things. So, all right. So you agree with that take? Or?
I agree with these takes.
Okay.
I agree and accept all takes.
All right. Let's get into InDev and InfDev. So this is where the weird shit pops up.
This is the weird teenage phase of Minecraft. Like we've gone through the childhood, the growing pains, the first steps, basically.
Oh no, I'd call this like the tween era.
the weird tween teenage stage of the game, knowing what still knowing what it's gonna be, but still kind of trying to figure out what it is exactly. Yeah. Like its identity.
Yes.
Sort of speak.
All right, here we go. Okay, let me double check the logs. Okay. 0.31.
I bet a lot of you.
We'll address the elephant in the room later. But okay, putting that aside, I'll put it in like B tier.
Is it added?
And then okay, next up,
it added fire and torches.
Well, hold on. Before we do that, again, we're putting them on the tier first, and then we're discussing. So, okay, InDev. I'd probably put that one.
I'd give that an A. I think that really added, because it added like day-night cycles and farming. Like,
I'll put it in B tier, but just barely. And then InfDev, I guess that's a B tier as well. I don't know. It's just InDev and InfDev are a very weird era. Because let's discuss that with 0.31. What the hell is on that picture?
Who the hell? Some of you might not have any idea who this person is. I didn't until earlier today.
I had to introduce Goldie to the era in which Steve, Beast Boy, and Rana were in the game.
So these were basically human mobs. And
by the way, no, this is not modded. This is actual what Notch was thinking back in very, very late 2009 and early 2010. He thought it would be a good idea to have these humanoid-looking, Animal Crossing-looking mobs kind of roam around the map in 0.31, which, by the way, is it technically is a version of InDev, but it has a bunch of different versions that are marked as its own thing, and that's why it's marked as its own thing here. So it's like pre-InDev is basically what it is. that unfortunately does kind of drag it down because it clashes with the art style so much, even compared to the mobs that were already in the game.
It is so jarring to see that. I don't blame anyone for thinking that that's a modded NPC.
Actually, because of that, I have to drag it down to C.
You think so? Yeah.
So, I mean, that being said, though, it was a pretty important update because, like, it did bring us a lot of like, you know, staples for Minecraft because it did add in crafting, it added in smelting, it added in like actual level geometry. Creepers finally exploded as they do nowadays. It added in difficulty settings, and it also added in a bunch of the items that we now know from Minecraft today, such as like, you know, pickaxes, axes, swords, as well as this is also the version that added diamonds.
Yeah, which is
so
why
it's like I know it's such a big update, but like
I hesitate to put it in C because of that though. Like apart from that glaring issue, it added the
also this is this is not this is the version that had like the first logo of Minecraft. You know, like the old version of Minecraft where the logo was just nothing but cobblestone. This was the version that had that.
Yeah, real stony looking. Yeah, like as did, you know, the early classic brought in like the mining. 0.31 brought in the crafting aspect, which is why I hesitate to put it in a C. But yeah, Rana and the Steve and Beast Boy things like that keeps it from going into an A.
Okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'll put it back up in B tier. It's just
if it weren't for them, I would have comfortably put this in A because, you know, it brought in crafting.
Well, also, this is also the version that added the earliest implementation of redstone, but it wasn't called redstone at the time. It was the gear system.
The gears.
So
bit of a weird.
Yeah, like this was the earliest version of that sort of system. So I would probably, you know what, F it, fuck it, B tier. Final point.
Final move.
Again, it's just such a fucking weird version of Minecraft. It's such a weird version of Minecraft.
Yeah, it's just. But it is the version that brought us crafting. So
yes,
next time you craft in Minecraft, you will
thank Rana for that one.
Yeah, you will know that she came in that same update. So be grateful for Rana.
Okay, let's move on from the weird era. We're still in the weird era though. In dev. Now, keep in mind, you guys probably also noticed that like I try to make sure that the pictures represent the like stuff that came from that era. And well, this version is pretty unique in that it added in the ability to have isometric screenshots, which was kind of cool. Unfortunately, they got rid of it in dev, but that is a cool feature, and that's why you see in a lot of like Minecraft renders that they're isometric. It's because of this thing here.
This mechanic.
Well, more so inspired by that mechanic. But yeah, this also was a pretty major update besides that, in the fact that this added in farming and the third-person camera, night cycles,
night cycle, mob drops.
Yeah, mob drops as well. This also added in the earliest form of armor.
Furnaces and paintings.
And so, yeah, this is another pretty important version. Granted, this was still, because keep in mind, from this version back, Minecraft was a limited map. Because, you know, from like the classic era up until InDev, it was just a flat like plains island that you were on the entire time. So,
but yeah,
as far as like So yeah, as far as like being the last version of Minecraft to be a limited map, I would say it's a okay version of the game. Like I'm not gonna pretend to say it was like amazing, but like it was fine. Like the implementations of everything, I think from this version, I think were fine. And this was also the version they got rid of those weird mobs. Again, they were only in there for 0.31 for reasons. So
reasons I could not tell you. So that automatically puts in Dev at like an A tier, just by that simple decision. Just how you saved this game for being kind of awkward. Like, not terrible, but just like awkward.
Let's move on to InfDev.
InfDev.
And this is the version that made the map infinite, by the way. So no more being limited to a singular island with this update.
It's not a survival island playthrough every time now.
Yeah, like this is, which actually, funny enough, I mean, this shouldn't surprise you because this happens every time something changes. People actually used to hate this change because they liked the island like that they were on. Because this was the first major this was the first major sort of map generator like update since the early classic era. And well, this obviously added in, like I said, infinite generation, and so the original map wouldn't be working anymore. And yeah, that upset a lot of people, but I do think it was for the better.
Change for the best.
Yeah, it was a change.
That's a part of Minecraft's appeal. That's a part of Minecraft's major appeal is just the infinite world. I remember back in the day, people were constantly talking about it because it was such a new concept at the time of just an infinitely generating world that just spanned forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was something that just a lot of people didn't really see too often in games.
Yes.
So, like, people were rocky about it at first, but eventually people started to recognize how innovative that was.
Yes, because...
And became a part of the game's charm.
Yeah, because also keep in mind that, like, that actually, by this point, because it was an infinitely generating map, that automatically made it into the largest open world game ever made by this point. Because keep in mind that, like, before Minecraft, the biggest open world game was, I think it was Elder Scrolls Daggerfall, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and that is still, credit where credit is due, it's still one of the biggest open worlds of all time. It's larger than most modern open world games, funny enough. Because that game is like the size of like a fourth of Earth. How? I will never know.
I don't know how you could fit that in a computer.
In 1996, may I remind you.
Yeah, no.
So, but this, of course, Minecraft beat that to the punch by this update, which was good. This also added in minecarts and, by extension, mine rails. It also added in signs, ladders, basically just stairs, regular golden apples, the ability to use saddles, so you can actually put them on pigs. And
no horses yet.
Yeah, we didn't have horses yet, but we...
And of course, most importantly, the brick pyramid.
God damn it. I was going to save that for the last, because, like, god damn it. Yes, this was the version that added in generated structures, because this added in the small cobble dungeons. You know, the ones where it spawns, like, spiders, skeletons, zombies. Like,
like the spawners.
Yeah, the spawner
dungeons.
Yeah, the spawner dungeons. This also added in, like, larger caves. Like, there was, like, caves, but they weren't really caves.
Yeah, they weren't massive winding.
Yeah, they weren't winding caves up until this update. And then there were also two weird things that were added. Obviously, you mentioned the brick pyramid, but also the Farlands basically, for those who know, it's basically just the world border, where it's just a giant like canyon of like, yeah, just like a giant like wall canyon that just kind of extends throughout the edges of the map. That was added, and you still technically get the Farlands to this day. But then there's these stupid fucking pyramids. I know they added them to test out, randomly generated structures. I get that. But they also added in the spawner dungeons. I don't know. These brick pyramids are fucking dumb. They're so dumb.
I think they're cool.
They're dumb.
I don't know why.
Like,
it's this giant, obviously man-made structure in the middle of this. Like Minecraft at this time was this eerie kind of like wasteland. So to find like this giant, clearly man-made structure amongst the mist, just had to have been so eerie to come across as a player back then. Like just to think like what built this.
A part of me just wishes that biomes existed by this point, so that they would have made it like an actual like Egyptian pyramid, because I think that would have been cooler to me. It's made of bricks, like brickstone though, and brickstone is not a very popular block for a reason.
I mean,
we're not brickstone, bricks. So
yeah, bricks. I'd like to use bricks, but I just wish the color was different. I just wish it wasn't such.
To be fair, they would change they would change color later on, because in this version at least, they were that weird bright red color. They changed it to a darker red color in alpha, but we're getting ahead of ourselves in that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll still put it in B tier because that infinite generation is very important to Minecraft. But I don't know. For me personally, it's not really like the most impressive thing that Minecraft would do. So that's just me personally. So, oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say something.
No, I didn't even. I'm just ready to get on to alpha.
Yes, alpha. So there were 3 versions of alpha. There. So yeah, we're getting closer to the official release, but again, this is 2010 that we're still talking about. So
now it's the summer and fall of 2010.
So okay, here we go. Okay, I actually don't. Okay, what was in alpha again?
This is.
Oh, okay. Alpha 1.0. I'm gonna put it in A tier. Alpha 1.1. I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna put that in D tier. But Alpha 1.2, this might surprise you.
1.2, the Halloween update?
Yes, the Halloween update. This was the first named update, but we'll get to that later. I'm gonna put that in S tier.
I'm gonna put it in S tier.
So,
can't wait to talk about that one.
Okay, so Alpha 1.0. Why is this a big deal for me? Well, first of all, this was the first version of Minecraft where we kind of got more like height variance as far as the terrain. Because before Alpha, we had still relatively very flat lands. We had elevation, flat, but they weren't like big.
Maybe a little hilly, but like not really like mountainous. But with 1.0, you could see in the thumbnail.
Yeah, in the picture. Yeah, this was the first version where like the terrain started to actually, at least in my opinion, become a bit impressive in terms of its height.
Yeah, just actual high scaling mountains on the horizon, just really adding to this adventure, to like the adventurous feeling you get wandering around Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Just discovering all kinds of really interesting Like,
Well, not biomes yet. That wouldn't be until later, but we'll get to that in a second. But as far as like terrain generation, that was a big deal. But also, this was a big deal for Redstone, because this was the version where we finally had the Redstone system that we now know today. So Redstone and Redstone Dust was added into this, but also this was the version that added in Redstone torches, levers, pressure plates, iron doors, jukeboxes,
all the things we use to make sweatshops in Minecraft.
And there's also, they also added in like actual snow stuff in this. So this was the version that added in, snow blocks, ice. There were also cacti that were added into the game, as well as what were called reeds, sugarcane nowadays.
Yeah, just sugarcane.
This also added, as far as mobs, it also added in chickens and cows. Granted, they were kind of useless at the time, but whatever. And then this also added in slimes. This was the version that added in like slimes and spider jockeys. And
Yay.
This was also like, you also know the cave ambience noises that like everyone memes about.
Yeah, this is where they came in.
Yes, that was the version that they came in, and this was also the version. This was also the version that like, I'm pretty sure that like the music that we now know today, they came from Alpha 1.1 or 1.0. So, as well as the music discs. So
definitely a high A.
Yes, this is definitely a version that I would say is A tier easily for what it represents. Like, out of like, I'd say this. Granted, this is coming from someone who played later. Honestly, this is the earliest version of Minecraft that I comfortably say that I feel like I could enjoy.
I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure this. No. We'll keep going. We'll keep going from there.
Okay. So yeah, 1.0 alpha, I'd say is pretty big. Which is why I put alpha 1.1 kind of low. Because it added in 5 new paintings, one of them being the one right there. And yeah, it added in like the compass. But who really uses compasses nowadays?
No one.
And well, it also added in fishing rods, which again, I don't know.
Fishing is
I know it's used for some redstone contraptions, but like very niche.
Yeah, I fish in Minecraft, but not particularly often.
Yeah. And like there's some like other quality life stuff that it added in, like for example, it added in hostile mobs to multiplayer. You can actually crouch in 1.1 by this point. And it made it to where lava buckets can actually be a usable source for furnaces, but again, very, very niche stuff. Like this is
like not things that are cool, but like especially compared to the last update.
Yeah, compared to 1.0, this was hella disappointing. So it's like it's not a terrible update, but I honestly would say that this is kind of the first lame update. Like, kind of agree with me on that? Like, it's a little bit lame.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, pig painting. Whatever you're supposed to be.
It's funny because like I was in a VC earlier with some other people while I was working on this, and they commented on how much they hated this painting.
The pig is so obviously just like plastered over whatever that woman is carrying.
Yeah, it's
like, is that just baby Jesus? I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Or is it a sheep?
Dumb. Who freaking knows? Let's move on. Okay. So, Alpha 1.1, kind of lame. That was made up for Alpha 1.2.
1.2, the first named update.
Yes,
The
the first
Halloween
thing.
update.
Yeah, the Halloween update. This is the first named update. I didn't type it into the thing mainly just because I wanted to keep it consistent. But rest assured, this honestly, you could argue, might actually be
the most important update.
if not the one of the most important updates, because this added the Nether, which is a big deal. But not only did it add the Nether, it added
finally got biomes.
We got biomes finally by this update. So
desert, shrubland, forest, tundras, taigas, savannas, which would eventually be removed in 1.8.
But then they would be brought back later, but
could also be removed, but
yeah, but like also... But yeah, you get the point. Is like the fact that this added in biomes and it added it in the Nether with zombie pigmen and gas and netherrack and even soul sand, or not soul sand, that was later. Like glowstone was added in this update, which people love using glowstone. And again, that was a massive deal because this added in not only actual biodiversity to the Minecraft world itself, because before this, it was just nothing but a plains biome with like an ocean. By this update, we actually had multiple places that you can actually walk around in. And
multiple places to get different types of blocks, different types of wood and sand and all, you know.
And again, the fact that this added in another dimension into the game, that was a big deal. And granted, this isn't going to factor in too much, obviously, since we established that. But it would also eventually lead to stuff like the Ether mod becoming very popular around this time. So, because like, as far as
we have hell, we have the living world, so naturally gonna need heaven.
A mod like the Ether was inevitable for this. But even just kind of putting like, you know, mods aside, this I do consider to be like one of the best updates that Minecraft ever had. Simply just off the basis of the fact that this was the version where Minecraft was basically Minecraft by this point. Like,
yeah, this is pretty big for me because this is the first update I remember playing. I had not owned Minecraft, but I had a couple of friends at the time who were keeping up with the old versions, which, given how old we were, you know, we were like 10 or we were like 9-ish years old ourselves. It's kind of weird to think about, but this is the first version of Minecraft that I can remember playing at my friend's house when we were just kids. So personally, this one means a lot to me. And thankfully, thankfully, putting it at an S tier isn't just chalked up to nostalgia.
Because again, I didn't grow up with this. Again, I would come much later as far as Minecraft is concerned, but like, I can look back and say that objectively speaking, this was a really damn good update. So yeah, like, pretty big deal. So, all right. So, Alpha, there was a bit of a steep, but it ended up on a really high note. So, that's pretty awesome. But now let's get into the betas. Or the beta stages. And
close.
Yeah, we are getting close to release. But I'm not gonna lie, there were some growing pains, I would say, that were kind of a thing.
The game is now in high school. The game's in high school now.
The game's in high school now.
The game's in its teenage years. Got its identity. It's 75% a person. It's gonna stumble a little bit. It's gonna stumble a little bit.
Yeah, there are some versions of beta that like are better than others, but let's get into those. So we'll talk about the first 5 updates that are here. So we'll do 1.0 up until 1.4. So I really need to think about these. Okay, so beta 1.0. I'll put this one in C tier. Beta 1.1 though, that's gonna be our first F tier.
Yeah, just
first F tier.
Capes.
We'll get to that one in a little bit. 1.2. I'll put that one in a B tier.
God.
1.3. I'll put that one in C tier as well.
C tier.
And then beta 1.4 I'll put in B. I'll put in B tier.
Yeah, I'll give that a B tier.
Okay. So, beta 1.0. Yeah, you're starting to see there are some growing pains that we're starting to see by the beta.
Leaf decay, which is something that some of you probably
No, that wasn't. Well, okay, yeah, that was leaf decay. But this was also the version that added in the current inventory system that we now know. So
very mechanical changes,
yes.
very more so changes to how the game plays in this one than rather like anything to add to the game. More so just improving what's already there.
Yeah, it's not a bad update, I would say. It's just I feel like in the grand scheme of things, again, keep in mind, this is coming after Alpha 1.2, and so, that being said, though, the way in which the inventory works now, I will give it credit where credit is due in that regard, because, inventory system, I think, pretty much slaps.
It's perfect. Not as perfect as is, in my opinion.
It's good as it is, and even though it has seen some changes post-launch, it has relatively stayed the same since, and I do think that it works in that regard. So, I personally am gonna put it in C tier. Not a bad update, but it is what it is. So you can at least, because the inventory is a very important system in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
Beta 1.1 though, I can confidently say that this is one of the first updates that was just terrible.
Useless.
Useless.
Just completely useless.
So
in the document that we have for beta 1.1,
there's only two things that were added in this.
Yeah, we have only 2 bullet points.
Capes
when it was released,
and they somewhat fixed the leaf decay to how it is now.
It only added 2 things.
It only added one thing, and it only changed one thing. But here's something that here's my first hot take of the night. Here's my first hot take. I feel like you're smiling behind that. Are you?
What don't you like?
I don't like the way in which you get capes in the game. I'm sorry, I just think it's fucking stupid that you have to go to certain events to get certain capes. Because that's what this update basically did. Because here's the thing. I didn't know how you got capes until literally 3 years after I played the game. I had no idea.
I never knew how you got capes. I never
Yeah, the only way for you to get capes is by either going to certain events in person, may I remind you, in-person events, or doing challenges that Mojang themselves set up. They are not a thing that you can actually use yourself unless if there's specific situations for them. And honestly, I think that's pretty freaking lame. Cause
Once the events are over.
Yeah,
then
once the events
capes
are over, you can't get them ever. Like, and yeah, like, because here's the thing. I feel like people should be able to, like, not only make their own capes, because you can't even make your own capes. You have, like, these are, like, pre-made capes that are...
Only Mojang can give them out.
Yes, only Mojang themselves can give out. And for a game like Minecraft, I find that to be a pretty lame mechanic. Because, like, you had to go to Minecon back in the day, but there's one problem.
Well,
Minecon doesn't really exist in the way that it does back it did back then.
Yeah, we can't really go to Minecon 2011 right now, can we?
Well, no. I guess what I mean is that, like, Minecon isn't really a convention anymore. Like, it's more of a... It's like, it's basically just Minecraft's version of E3.
Yeah, like, it's just...
Like, it's not really a convention anymore that you could go to. And it hasn't been like that in 8 years. And not only that, but also, a lot of, like... But also, here's the reason why I actually do despise capes. It makes it to where it adds in stupid MMO mechanics to a game that can be played in single player. Because they basically have this, they try to apply an item that is more associated with MMO games than a sandbox game that anyone can just jump into. And I find that to be pretty lame, especially for a game you can play offline in single player by yourself, which is, guess what I mostly do 99% of the time. So it's not fair for people to be punished who just play single player. So, I'm sorry, I really hate this update so goddamn much because of the stupid fucking capes.
Damn you not. In your brown Mojang cape.
God, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Just allow people to create their own capes. It's not that big of a deal. But
it means nothing.
So, yeah. In my opinion, this is like the first truly bad update. So, you barely said anything. What do you feel about this version?
Useless. We only had 2 bullet points on this, and one of them on our document, and one of them is just the data was released. So there's only really 1 bullet point to describe this update. Just kind of something that... It's not like capes are really important to Minecraft anyway. Not mostly because, you can't get them.
Yeah, you can't even fucking get them, which is stupid. So...
And the only thing of use it added was just a fix that could have been saved for 1.2.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, easy contender for one of the worst updates, if not the worst. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Thankfully, though, Beta 1.2 did rectify a lot of those ills that I have, because this was the version that, well, obviously it added in cakes, as you can see in the thing right there, but it also added in other
spruce trees, which really adds to
the
pile.
Yes, and this was also, yes, taigas did exist obviously before this, but they used oak trees for whatever weird reason. They finally fixed the taigas in this to where they're actual, like, spruce trees. This also added in the note blocks and the dispensers, which note blocks, I don't really see them used as much, but dispensers are used all the time in Redstone, so that's good. This also added in, okay, that's not supposed to say dyed wood, that's dye wool. Excuse my language there. Yes, this added in all the varied colors of wool. Added in sandstone, lapis lazuli, excuse my goddamn language. Which, okay, whenever I first story time for Lapis.
Ooh.
I remember when I first started doing Minecraft. You know how like a lot of Minecraft YouTubers back in the day, they had their like shtick where it's like they were obsessed with like one specific like item in game. You know, like for example, like a lot of YouTubers back in the day. You know, like for example, Sunday was like with cobblestone, Dan TDM with diamonds and stuff like that.
Yeah, everyone had their obsession, their favorite block
or their favorite item.
Your,
I tried making mine lapis lazuli.
Lapis lazuli. Why? Because everyone hated it?
Well, because no one talked about it.
Well, I thought it was everyone's least favorite because people confused it for diamonds sometimes. So everyone just hated lapis.
How the hell people confused lapis lazuli with diamonds, I will never know. But
they're both blue? I don't know, but people did. I never did, but people said they did.
They're idiots then, if that's the case.
So there was this big hate for this big, like, ironic hate for lapis.
I like lapis because my favorite color is blue, and also, granted, this isn't this update, obviously, but they would become important later down the line. So, but whatever. I think lapis lazuli is fine. This also, okay, besides lapis, this also added in bone and bone meal. So if you wanted to actually, grow your trees, there you go. There's also added in squids, which alongside that added in ink sacs. Charcoal was added in, as well as like, all the old versions of dyes.
It would still look exactly the same as coal, but
yeah,
it's still
actually, you know what? Okay, hold on. Let me look at the thing. Okay, reeds were changed to sugarcane. What else? Oh yeah, the crafting table was originally called the workbench. They changed it to call it the crafting table by this point. And what else did it add? Oh yeah, okay, this also added in cocoa beans.
Oh.
So B tier's good for that?
Yeah, B tier's a nice little place for it.
Yeah, because like I'd say like those like I'd say the most important version thing for this are like the dyed wool and just dyes in general. Because again, you're talking to someone who's a creative mode person, and that's a big deal for me. So yeah, I'd say B tier. And then we have 1.3 beta. So this version added in... Okay, this one... Okay. It did add in beds. But it also added in redstone repeaters.
Which you do not like, I guess.
No, well, I'm cool with redstone repeaters. I'm just not a big redstone guy. Because, like, I feel like if you were someone who was huge into redstone, this would be, like, easy S tier. Because redstone repeaters are used all the damn time in redstone. Like, it's a requirement to use in redstone.
But I'm just not much of an engineer when it comes to Minecraft.
Yeah, I'm not mumbo jumbo. I am not a redstone god. So it's like... I only use redstone for like piston doors, really, which we'll get to that later because pistons haven't been added yet. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really the biggest. Like, beds are good. I'll give them that. Oh yeah, this also added in the by the way, gunpowder was already in the game. It was called sulfur. They renamed it to gunpowder by this update. And
yes. So confused by the naming.
Yeah, like it's and also funny enough, they added in the texture for the original version of crying obsidian in this version, but then they removed it in the update after. And well, eventually it would be re-added into the game, but I don't know, it's just kind of
crying obsidian. How can a mineral cry? I just don't understand.
And this also added in like slabs. So cobble, sandstone, wood slabs. So it's like it added in some cool things, but I think in the grand scheme of things, beta 1.2 was just better.
Yeah, 1.2 just added so much.
So,
more.
Yeah. And then we've got beta 1.4, which I feel like is your favorite update.
I give it a B because it added wolves, and I love wolves. I love having a dog, having a friend. Before then, you had no friends in this game. Now you finally have a friend. So I'm biased, but I'm not gonna make this into some joke where I put it into A or S tier. I'm gonna be like honest.
God damn it. But it added in your favorite mob in the game.
I know, but it's
your favorite mob. You have to put it high.
At the end of the day, like if it was the only thing that came out in that update, which it kind of is, there wasn't really that much else. Like it kind of is the only substantial thing to come out in this update.
By the way, okay, another side story. Apparently there were like people hated the fact that like wolves were added in the game back then, so much so that there were mods dedicated to how much they hated wolves being added into the game.
No.
Hold on. Hold on, let me look up. I think it was called the Better Than Wolves mod. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, it was called the Better Than Wolves mod. The developer hated wolves so much, he made a mod for Minecraft. That was just
cruel, vindictive fiend.
It added in like windmills and like new like farming equipment and shit. But yeah, that's how much this version of Minecraft was hated. Like, I am not joking when I say that. That is a thing that happened post beta 1.4.
How weird things change. Like how the things that we see as important just become insignificant in the future. It's so weird. So keep that in mind next time you decide to like unreasonably decide to hate on something. Even if it's deserved. Which in this case it wasn't, but even if it is deserved.
It's so fucking dumb. A motherfucker made an entire mod because of this. My god. Okay. It's not okay. I'm not just putting this in B tier because of wolves, because there were other things that were added in. For example, this was the version that added in the Minecraft logo that we now know today. So like, you know that logo right there on my wall? Yeah, you can thank beta 1.4 for that. That's the version of Minecraft where that logo was added. So if you pretty big in that regard. I know that's not in game. That's more so just kind of out of the game in the menus and in the marketing. But that's still, yeah, it's more of a brand thing. But like, that's still, I'd say, a pretty big deal. It also added in, yeah, brown and pink sheep. So, and well, that can naturally spawn, which, yeah, and it added in cookies. So it's like, okay. Fuck it. I'll put it in C tier, but I'm putting it above beta 1.3. Because, like, it didn't add too much. Let's be real here. So it's like, yeah. Damn. Beta's fucking weird. Okay. Which, speaking of weird, let's get to the latter half of the betas. So, still there?
Still here.
Okay. I was getting concerned.
1.5.
Okay, yeah, here we go. We got 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, and 1.8. my opinions are going to be extremely controversial with this. This is where it starts really getting controversial. So, okay, but here we go. 1.5.
B. I put that in a B tier.
I'll put that one in
a low B or B tier. Because it added weather into the game.
Weather was annoying for a while.
Was it?
I'm putting it in C tier. Beta 1.6. Beta 1.6. Let me double check. D tier. Beta 1.7. C tier.
C tier, yeah.
And this is where it gets controversial. Beta 1.8. A tier.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that'd be controversial.
Oh, that is extremely controversial. You have no idea. But let's start with 1.5. So, okay, beta 1.5. This was, yeah, it added in the powered and detected rails, as you can see. It also added in cobwebs, and it added in the charge creeper. And yes, it added in weather, but honestly, weather was kind of annoying pre, like, what, 1. I'd say, like, pre 1.8.
I don't remember weather being that, like, bothersome for me. Like, yes, rain keeps mobs from burning after the night. But
the rain was just so damn loud. Like, it honestly got annoying.
I don't remember ever having any problems with it.
Oh my god. I don't know. It's just, I mean, not only was it just really loud, but also, yeah, hostile mobs can spawn whenever there's rain or snow or anything like that. And that kind of gets annoying, especially if you're in certain like sticky situations. Granted, weather has gotten better. I will give it that. Like, there were updates that made the weather not as annoying to deal with. And thankfully, they changed the sound effects to where it doesn't sound like it's gouging my ears out. But, like, it was still, like, keep in mind, this is, like, pre 1.8 we're talking about. Pre-official 1.8, I should say. Beta 1.5, rain, no thank you. So, and truth be told, I do like the fact that it added in powered rails. That was cool. And it did add in, like, actual saplings for the birch and spruce trees, because for some reason they didn't drop those saplings. And this also was the version that added in achievements. But, like, I feel like those are just kind of smaller in comparison.
It's just a lot more, yeah.
So
pretty good, but still smaller improvements in the grand scheme of things.
Yes. So that's just my opinion, though. All right. Where'd you put Beta 1.5?
Beta 1.5, I threw that into a B tier, just with the addition to weather. I feel like that is pretty important to the game's just aesthetic.
I'll agree to disagree then. All right. 1.6. This one was just kind of a lame update again. Like, granted, okay, this one is also kind of important because it did technically add in a new dimension. It added the sky dimension. But keep in mind, this was more so an experiment, and you couldn't actually access it in the game. It was more so through a technicality. So it technically doesn't even count.
Yeah. A little
it was them preparing for another dimension that we'll obviously get to later. So I feel like just kind of by its very nature, that's only by a technicality. It wasn't actually added in. And well, this version added in more so decorative blocks. Like, tall, like, it added in the grass, it added in dead bushes.
Which is nice when you're like a builder, but again, mainly just aesthetic improvements. They're nice.
Aesthetic improvements, but honestly, aesthetic improvements that I don't ever use. As someone who's a creative user, I never use dead bushes, ever. Because, like, I only use dead bushes if I want to make an area look desolate, which I rarely ever do.
Yeah, which I don't really do often. So like,
yeah, and again, it added in, like, tall, like, not like the tall grass, but like the grass you see on the picture right there.
Just grass.
Yeah, like, it's just not very...
It's nice, but on its own, it's just sort of...
I find it honestly more annoying. So, yeah, they can drop seeds, but, like, I don't know. And
you don't like having to mow the lawn?
No, it's...
in your game?
When I play a video game, I try to play it as if I'm playing a video game. I don't want to simulate real life unless if I'm playing The Sims.
You don't want to do chores in your games?
No, fuck no.
Chores in games are fun, as opposed to like chores in real life.
This was also the version that made it to where you can't use beds in the Nether, which is fucking stupid.
They literally explode.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb. So...
what's the in-lore explanation for that, Notch? You gonna tell us?
I mean, it wouldn't be Notch at this point. It would have to be Jeb. Because, again, Notch is... Yeah.
Jeb? Can you explain?
And the reason why this is not an F tier is because this did add in trapdoors, and it did add in maps. Which I think are cool. Like, a cool block and a cool item. So, it's not, like, total shit, but, like...
it's totally useless.
Because I use trapdoors quite a bit, and maps are very important. Although, to be fair, I use Journey Map more than I do the actual map, but that's besides the point. It at least added the ability for you to know where the hell you are. So...
now we don't need the compass anymore.
Well, the compass was always kind of useless, so it's like... So, yeah. 1.6... another lame update, admittedly.
Lame.
And then we have beta 1.7, which actually, you know what? I'm gonna raise it up to B tier, because this is the version that added in pistons, and it added in the way, like, did this add in? No, okay. TNT was already in the game. That was in the game since the classic era, but TNT was, you could detonate it with flint and steel, so that's cool. And this is also the version where it added it in, like, the cobble and brick textures that we knew for, like, a long time.
Yeah, that we know now.
So,
for a while.
Well, yeah, for a long time. They changed it in 1.17, but for this version of Minecraft, like, pistons, really big deal. Even if you're not a redstone user, pistons are still useful. Because, like, you can just use them for... like what I do, either by using it for, like, makeshift doors, or you can actually use this for cobblestone generators.
Yeah, or some people just use them purely for, like, aesthetic purposes, like just adds like a building material.
Yeah.
For, like, to add decoration to certain buildings.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like, at least for me personally, I think the blocks that it did add, I think were useful. And the usefulness really does ramp it up. So I'm going to put that in B tier. So is that respectable?
I'd say so, yeah.
All right. Now we get into the one of the most controversial things. Beta 1.8. This version was universally despised by old school players. Like, before 1.9, this was the most hated version of Minecraft. Like, you have no idea. I don't think you understand how despised this version of Minecraft is. Mostly because this changed the generation to where it was a bit more, I don't want to say natural, but like the way in which like from official up until 1.7 looked, that like era, that was the version of Minecraft that like that type of generation came from. So like the weird generation in which, you know, you can have like a snow biome spawn next to a desert, that weird shit, that came from this version. And let's just say that like old school Minecraft faithful fucking hated that so goddamn much.
Yeah.
That being said though, as weird as that was, that never fully ever bothered me in a weird way.
I mean, look at the changes that we've gotten. We've gotten more biomes with swamps, rivers, oceans, mountains.
Yes, this was a pretty big. This was a pretty big deal for different biomes. Well, hold on. Let me fucking. I'm sorry. But yeah, this added in like a bunch of newer biomes. This added in warm taigas for a while, although those would be removed, I think, after official. They'd be brought back in 1.7, but whatever. This added in mountains, oceans, swamps, all that fun stuff. It also added in the second most iconic Minecraft mob, the Enderman. Like, say what you want, but like, it's either, if people don't think of creepers, they think of the Enderman. That's just kind of how it is. And this
also,
it had silverfish and cave spiders as well.
Cave spiders. But also in the structures that it added, granted we don't have villagers yet, but villages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and mine shafts and strongholds, and also like giant ravines. Those were added. So it's like, those are pretty big deals. Granted, some people I feel like are mixed about strongholds, but strongholds, they would eventually be available for the next version as far as importance. And this also added in melons. It finally added in raw chicken and beef, because before then, like, cows and chickens were kind of useless. Like, you couldn't get anything from them. They finally added in, like, you know, meat items for both of those, so it actually gave them a purpose. It also added in melons and melon seeds, as well as pumpkin seeds, so you can actually regrow pumpkins. It added in fence gates for your fences. It added in iron bars. It added in stone bricks, so if you wanted a bit more of a decorative item. But even as far as game mechanics, here's the thing. Here's the other thing that people fucking despised about 1.8 or beta 1.8. This was the version that added in the modern hunger system. And well, let's just say that like people hated the hunger system as much as the 1.9 combat. So, but you know what? I'm gonna ask you, Goldie. How did you feel about the changes for beta 1.8 as someone who's been playing the game since alpha?
I mean, a lot of these, for me, why I would put this as an S tier is just sort of the biomes and structures and mobs that they have added. Just sort of swamps, rivers, oceans, mountains, warm taigas, mine shafts, ravines, strongholds, villages. And the Enderman just alone is a huge update that are just real big main staples in the game as we know them now.
Mm-hmm.
Like a part of Minecraft's identity. So I can't understand. Again, there's another thing of people just being upset about things that aren't really upsetting in the long run. Like, you know, because I don't hear anybody talk about having problems with the hunger system and how it affects, like, you know, your sprinting and what have you. Like, I don't hear anyone having any problems with that anymore. It just feels like it was a change that people didn't take well at first, but just, like, initially.
Mm-hmm.
So I would still say this is a very important, very, very respectable update.
Actually, okay, now that I'm looking at this, because I'm looking at the other mechanics, this also added in the crit system, sword parries, the experience system, as well as sprinting, which sprinting alone, I think, does automatically put this not just in A tier, but probably S tier for me as well.
Yeah. Like,
let's be real here, guys. Sprinting made the game way fucking better to actually move. Because beforehand, it was so damn slow to move around.
I like being able. I don't like games where you just. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I just don't like games where you can't sprint.
I mean, I can handle it with older games because I grew up with a lot of PS2 games, and so like, I guess it just matters in context. Like, if it's like smaller map design, then that's fine with me. But if it's a fucking open world, you better have a sprint mode. And well, thankfully before release, Notch and Jeb realized, oh shit, we should probably have a sprint mode in here, or we should have a sprinting. Here. Yeah. And also, to this version's credit, for some weird reason, in both the alphas and the betas, they got rid of creative mode. For some stupid reason. I don't know why, but like, yeah, starting in like, from InfDev, yeah, they just wanted it to be a more survival game, but they re-added creative mode, and it's the way in which creative mode... Yeah, it's not exactly how it is... It's not exactly how it is now, but like, a lot of like the ways in which we know creative mode today came from beta 1.8. So I'm just gonna be frank, like, I do get really annoyed when people shit on beta 1.8 because it's like, again, you are kind of like, you will be shocked by like how many people fucking hated beta 1.8. They despise the changes. Like, you have, God, it's insane. Also, by the way, if you hear anything in the background, I apologize. It's my cousins. But anyways, but yeah, you get the point. Is like, it's not a bad update, people. Come on.
There's a lot of them. I primarily play on creative mode as it is right now. So like, yeah, it's like, kind of important.
Yeah, I don't get the fucking hate for beta 1.8. I genuinely don't. But either way, we finally made it to official Minecraft. So, alright, here we go. We'll do the first 5 versions, and then for like this from now on. So, let's do it. Official release. 1.0.
1.0 launch. November 18th, 2011.
I'm going to put 1.0 in A tier. For 1.1, I got to be honest, I got to put that in F tier.
Oh, man. I wouldn't.
1.2, 1.2, I'll put that in C tier. 1.3, I'll put that in... Let me double check. I'll put that in B tier. And 1.4, S tier. Okay. Official release. So, okay, for context, by the way, I forgot to mention this for beta 1.8. That was referred to as the Adventure Update Part 1. I forgot to mention that. Official release is also known as the Adventure Update Part 2. So this is a very important update, not just because it was launch. That should be pretty obvious. But also, this added in so many other things that, very similar to beta 1.8, were very important to the game. Because this is the version that added in the end. which by extension also added in the Ender Dragon, the first boss fight in Minecraft. It also added in blazes and magma cubes, and mushrooms, which by extension also added in the mushroom biome. And also villagers. Sorry, I forgot to mention the villagers.
Finally.
They finally added in the Squidwards that we all know and love.
Yeah, the villages aren't some eerie, deserted area anymore. Yes. Now they're living, breathing places. Friendly NPCs that are somewhat intelligent. Somewhat.
So, I forgot to do this. Nether fortresses were also added into this update. I apologize. I forgot to type that into the thing. But yeah, nether fortresses were added in. Snow golems were also added in this update. There were also, obviously by extension with the nether fortresses, nether brick and nether brick stairs and nether brick fences were added in. End stone was added in for the end, obviously. This was also the version that added in brewing, which by extension added in potions, which are a big deal for Minecraft gameplay. This also allowed for full-on item repair. So, if you have like an item that is starting to drop, like pretty much go down, you can pretty much fix it on the spot. This also added in the hardcore mode for those who wanted a massive challenge.
For those who like it.
Yeah. And this added in the enchantment table. Although, which I think that, this does mean that added in enchanting, which is also a pretty big mechanic in Minecraft nowadays. So, I hesitate to put it in S tier, because here's the thing, is that even though this added in the Ender Dragon boss fight, admittedly, it was kind of lame up until 1.9. So, that's kind of the one thing that's kind of down. Don't get it twisted. It's awesome that they added in like a true third dimension into this. Which is what the sky dimension was kind of eventually morphed into.
Trying to be. Yeah, it was kind of.
But like at the same time, it's not. Let's be real here. The end is not as impressive as the Nether. So, but I do think that everything else that was added in is a net positive, because enchanting and potions, as well as like villagers and stuff like the blazes, those are big deals in my opinion. And so I do think it does deserve an A tier for damn sure. So, do you agree?
I would agree. So yeah, the enchantments and the potions, the weird magic system that I guess you could say Minecraft has.
Yeah, the magic
is definitely an important branch when in Minecraft. It's not something that I particularly use often, admittedly, but it is something that does add more layers to the combat aspect of the game.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just feel like this version also, again, similar to Beta 1.8, it gets a lot of shit for very little reason. I know where the hate comes from. It's from the Ender Dragon boss fight being disappointing for a lot of people. And I do agree that's honestly the actual fight itself. Yeah, I'd probably say is the worst part of this update, but that does not mean that it was a bad update by any means. Because again, it added in a third dimension. It at least attempted to add in the first boss fight, and it added in, like I said, some pretty iconic mobs, like other pretty iconic mobs for the game that still functioned and have a purpose to this day. And of course, nether fortresses being pretty damn good as far as trying to find loot in, so that's worth something.
Yeah.
So
just adding a few extra layers into the game.
And yeah, like I still think that this is pretty Kino, as the kids say.
Kino. Oh my god.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. Official 1.1. This is going to be the first one that we're going to have a debate, apparently. So, okay. Not beta. Official 1.1. I will give it credit where credit is due. It is better than beta 1.1 because it added in spawn eggs, which that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, but
they could be added in other updates though. As a matter of fact, I can make an argument it should have probably been an official release. And here's the other problem. The only other thing that was added, or really, really, truly added, I mean, you see right there. Beaches. Okay. Also known as one of the most boring biomes in the game.
Yeah, like they could do a lot with those, but they don't.
They refuse to do so. And, well, this update was more so just some quality of life stuff. Like, it added, like, it basically just kind of tweaking some stuff that was happening with some of, like, the items. Like, you know, they... Again, it's not as... I wouldn't say it's as bad as Beta's 1.1, but, like... I don't know, this one's kind of lame. Okay, to be fair as well, it did also add in flat worlds, but, like, keep in mind that, like, the flat worlds were not as... Like, it was only just the simple grassland ones. So, like, this didn't have the different variants of, like, super flat worlds. And... Again, I just find it to be kind of lame. Like, it's kind of a very lame update, especially when you compare it to, honestly, other updates that came before and even since.
I mean, super flat worlds are good for, like, building. Like, if you want to build, like, a very grand scale type of project, like a city, like a modern city or something like that. But otherwise, no, not much of a... Just kind of feels more like a callback to zero, fucking pre-classic era. But
yeah,
otherwise, yeah, like spawn eggs are useful, but yeah, I agree. Should have been in release, and beaches are kind of the most boring biome.
yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
Like they would not rank. They would not rank high on a biome tier list because
yeah, like
there could be ways that they could make it cool. They could add palm trees and more mobs and other types of fauna to make it interesting because there's still like bushes and whatnot or whatever and beaches, but they haven't, so
yeah.
not really that significant.
So, where would you put it?
I put 1.1 in D. Just like it's not as bad as F because the whole thing with the capes, just with you having to go to Minecon, is just so frustrating to say the least.
Well,
1.1
I guess.
at least.
Well, I guess I just am so annoyed with 1.1 because that's the only significant thing that they really added was spawn eggs. Like, and then, but everything else that was there, that was added, I could honestly take or leave. Like, that's just me personally, though. That being said, though, yeah, I do agree. Beta 1.1 was objectively worse.
Yeah.
Like, we can both agree with that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, get down there, you fucking game dev.
Fucking asshole.
So, alright, so, yeah, 1.1, we at least admit is a pretty lame update. 1.2, I put that one in C tier because it did add in jungles, which I actually do like jungles. Like,
I put it in C tier, but still, I just don't really care for jungles myself.
Fair.
I don't know. It's not really an environment that I am really interested in when it comes to a lot of games. That being said, though, ocelots, that kind of saves it for me, honestly. Because I love wolves, but I also love cats.
Yeah, ocelots. They did eventually become useless though later on. But whatever. I mean, this was also the update that added in iron golems, and so you could theoretically make an iron golem farm, so you can have infinite iron. Which was nice. But you can also obviously have them protect villages if you really wanted them to, so that's cool. This also added in redstone lamps, chiseled stone bricks, obviously jungle wood, fire charges, and this also added in the pseudo zombie siege mechanic. I only call it pseudo because it's not really like a raid that we see in game nowadays. It's more so just basically just zombies just start trying to convert, like just kill the villagers. That's basically what the mechanic is. So it's like, so yeah, like I would still probably put it in, like I still put it like in C tier because like I do like what the jungle biomes. Oh yeah, this also added in desert wells, but I mean, who really cares about desert wells?
Yeah, who cares?
So I don't know. 1.2 is okay. It was okay. And then there's beta, or not beta. God damn, I keep saying beta and alpha the whole fucking time. Official 1.3. This is the version that added in the temples, so both the desert and jungle temples. And this was also the version that added in the trading system that villagers had for a while. And this was also the version that added in adventure mode. And pretty much overhauled the command system to how we generally know it today. And this added in the large biome version of Worlds. So, as far as like expansiveness, that's what's
it does
cool.
add more variety into the world.
Yes. This also,
even if it's not something that I particularly enjoy, I still appreciate a more open, world.
Yeah. Also, this version added in the enchanted golden apples or notched apples, whatever you want to call it. Emeralds, as well as just the emerald ore and blocks of emerald. But this also, and this is, I'd say, probably the most important thing that they added. This was the version that added in the ender chests. So if you wanted to actually have your item saved, or if you wanted to transfer it between other things, that was a pretty big deal. So, and I'd say the second best thing would definitely be the desert and jungle temples, as they added in loot, which obviously is pretty awesome. You can get gold and even diamonds in some of those chests. Obviously, be careful to not get yourself killed. So
don't set off the traps.
Yeah, don't set off the TNT trap. I swear to God,
Don't
I get
fall
anxiety
straight
every time that I see someone do that.
through. That they're just gonna not know. I don't know how they would, but
I don't know. But I do like the desert temples anyways. They look cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm a bit more kind to it because like for someone oh yeah, also this added in adventure mode. So if you wanted to have a mode dedicated to being able to play it more in like a single like in like an adventure map, you had a mode dedicated to it. So which was pretty big for people who wanted to make basically like roleplay maps. So yeah, like I'd say 1.3 is a good update. It's a good update.
It's good. It's just good.
Yeah, it's just good.
But you know what? Why don't we talk about something that's pretty scary?
The pretty scary update.
Pretty scary
I put this in S tier. So,
because I mean, yes, we got the witch's hut, which fair enough. But We got the Wither skeleton, witches, bats, zombie villagers, baby zombies. We got anvils, flower pots, cobblestone walls, mob heads. And we got more farming options, potatoes, carrots. We got a lot of it was a very mob heavy, very hostile mob heavy update, right on time for Halloween 2012.
Yes, oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead. I think I've said.
Yeah, I do consider this to be an S tier specifically because, well, I mean, first of all, you see it on the picture, the Wither. Honestly, I'd say a much overall, funny enough, a better boss than the Ender Dragon.
At least the Wither feels justified to kill.
Even though you birth him. Well, yeah, because like he gives you the Nether Star, which is used for one of the best blocks in the game, the Beacon, which pretty much gives you a bunch of buffs depending on how tall you build the pyramid using it, but also what types of blocks you use with it. And even though like you could argue that that isn't as useful nowadays, having that for like late game was pretty big, especially if you wanted to create like a designated safe zone for your base. And so it was very useful in that regard. But also, for the redstone nerds out there, this was probably the most important update of their lives. Because this was the update that added in the command block. So, you could finally make very complex maps within creative mode. You make, just hundreds of, if not thousands of things be able to work with just that block alone.
You can play God with that block. It is essentially the God block.
Yes, the God block. We'll call it that. God block. So, yeah, this also added in anvils, so it made it easier to repair or enchant things. Yeah, item frames, cobble walls were added in. Zombie villagers, which was a pretty big thing because that allowed you to actually cure them so that you could, get into the trading thing. They're yelling, I'm sorry.
You can save them.
Yeah. This also added in the potions of invisibility. And, well, for me personally, and this is gonna make you cry.
You upset me.
They finally added in toggle downfall with this update. So, I didn't have to deal with that stupid fucking weather. Granted, it wasn't a permanent command. That wouldn't come later, but like the fact that you can turn it off.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
So yeah.
Yeah, very briefly, mind you, very briefly.
Well, this also added in all the game, like a lot of the game rule commands. So that was pretty nice. So yeah, but you get my point, is that like this is a good update, a solid update that I do think warrants a lot of credit. So easy S tier.
Easy S.
So all right, so let's move on to the next 5. So now we're starting to get into the era where I started in. Because Yes, because I came around 2013. My first version is actually the one that we'll talk about next. 1.5. So, and then, yeah. So, okay. 1.5. Keep in mind, I am going to be a little bit biased with this one, but I do generally think that this is probably a good placement for it. I'm going to put 1.5 in A tier. And then 1.6. I'll put it in C tier. 1.7 S tier, 1.8 B tier, and then 1.9. This is going to be another controversial one, but I'm going to put this one in tentative C tier for now.
Tentative C tier.
Tentative.
Tenet. That's a word.
Yes, it is a word. Anyways, 1.5. So this is where I got into Minecraft. Was 1.5.
By this time I'd already been a veteran. By veteran, I mean I've been playing the game for like 2 years.
So okay, so I will granted this wasn't the first version I owned Minecraft. This was the version that I first played. And obviously this one was a pretty big deal for, again, this was another Redstone nerd update. So if you
so for me, that's why I would put 1.5 into a C tier, because I just don't really care for the red. I just don't really care for any redstone.
But like this added in like fucking trap chests and like activator rails and like quartz blocks and like
it's just stuff that I don't use in my game. Like I just don't have a use for it in my game. It's just not valuable for me. It's just not valuable to me.
Blocks of redstone, like this. You had the ability to build a redstone block. You couldn't do that until this update.
Oh, it still just don't really mean much to me. I hate to say, but they just don't really mean that much to me.
The drop.
Oh, droppers, everything. It just doesn't really mean much to me.
Doesn't mean too much for me. God.
No, it does
shitting
not.
on the version of Minecraft I started in.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I am. I guess I am.
1.5 slander. 1.5 slander. Redstone fans would be pissed at you right now.
Yeah, well, good thing I'm. Yeah, well, good thing there aren't any in the room right now. Good thing we're in a video call.
Well, we're streaming, so it's like. But whatever. I still, okay, even as someone who doesn't use redstone, I still at least see the importance of this update for those who loved that stuff. Because, again, this added in a lot more contraptions that could be used, and very useful ones at that. Especially when you consider that, well, here's the other thing about, because I mentioned trap chests. Yes, on their own, they might not seem much, but keep in mind, this was before 1.13, where they allowed you to like put chests next to each other, because for some stupid reason you couldn't put chests next to each other.
Double chests next to each other.
But
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's stupid. That loophole was allowed for trap chests, so that made storage actually way easier to do in this version. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm someone who actually kind of likes nether quartz. I think they look kind of cool. Especially for like if you want to do like an ancient Greek build. So, and yeah, obviously this added in like a bunch of cart variants and the redstone comparator, which acts as an alternative to the redstone. God damn it, the fucking redstone. God, wow, I do not remember the fucking. Oh my god, why can't I think of the fucking thing? What's the other redstone thing?
I don't know redstone.
God damn it!
I don't know.
Redstone blocks. Whatever, you get the point. It acts as an alternative for, like, you know, redstone. Like, yeah, it basically allows you to switch between two different redstone sources, and that's cool. So, as far as I'm concerned, I at least recognize the importance of that. And yes, I'm a bit biased because it was the version I started with, but I don't care. I have to say, it's my stream. It's an A tier. So, okay. 1.6. Now, this is an update that, like, this is another update that I know gets a lot of shit.
So, I really like the horses. I put it in a B tier. I really like the horse update. Mainly because, like, in Minecraft, I like ranching and farming and settling, so, like, horses are just sort of something that I really value. The only thing I just don't like is that you can't craft saddles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a dumb thing. I don't know why Mojang hasn't added ability to craft saddles yet. It's so dumb.
Like, that's where I give justification for why to dislike horses, because without being able to craft your own saddles, it does feel kind of useless.
I mean, this one's also kind of awkward for me because keep in mind, while 1.5 was the first version I played, this is the first version I owned Minecraft. And keep in mind, this is like peak Minecraft popularity, 2013. I think a lot of people give this update a lot of shit because they just only see it as like an update that added only horses to the game. You know? It's kind of like, it's similar to the hate from like beta 1.4 where it basically only added wolves. But... Oh, you go.
I was going to say, like, which, fair enough. I mean, there's some other things like, name tags and clay, like blocks of clay, hardened clay, and stained clay, which are really useful for building.
Yeah, like it added in, like I'd say those blocks help justify it a bit more, because like I use stained clay all the fucking time in my builds. Like, and even carpets, like, carpets are very useful for, like, again, you're talking to someone who's a creative mode user. And so, like, I value that stuff a bit more than, like, the, survival guy. Oh, shoot, I accidentally clicked on that. But here's the one thing that I will give this update, and this is the most important thing that was brought to this update that I will argue everyone on, and I will stand by this. This is the update that added in the ability to toggle day-night cycle. Which, that might not sound like a lot, but as someone who exclusively plays in creative mode, that is a big deal for me. Because I get really annoyed whenever it gets all of a sudden nighttime and I have to turn up the brightness, like, whatever, having to build at night. That, and also, like, especially, if there's, like, a bunch of, weird mobs that spawn at night, that gets annoying. So, that might be a small thing. That might sound like a small thing, but that's a huge thing for someone who plays exclusively on, like, creative mode. So, and of course, the colored clay blocks really do help with that. So, you know what? I think just talking about this convinced me. I'm going to put this in B tier.
You're going to put this on B tier along with me.
I know, which, by the way...
Oh, okay.
That's how hated this update is, dude. You have no idea.
I guess I just have a hard time remembering because I was, like, so young.
It's not
that I just don't remember paying attention.
People. Jesus. Like, especially for people who play in creative mode. It's a good creative mode update. Like, is it good as 1.5? No. Is it even as good as the next update, which we'll talk about in a little bit? Hell no. But, like, come on. It's... Well, that, and also keep in mind that, like, yes, people meme on horses now because of the Elytra that came out in later updates, but keep in mind that horses, for a good 3 full-on major updates, that was the way to be able to traverse the map. There was nothing faster than using a horse.
They were really great for traveling.
Yes. So, say what you want nowadays, but, like, it was a good update. And yes, I am a little bit biased again because this is the version that this is the first version that I owned Minecraft, but I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
So, you can have your biases. It's fine.
But anyways, let's move on to the big kahuna. 1.7, the update that changed the world, as it was dubbed.
Yeah, this is not us talking. This is what the update is called.
That's what the update is called. But for me,
honestly,
the world did change for the better because
we added mesas, mega taigas, which mega taigas are some of my favorite biomes in the entire game. Root forest, birch forest, flower forest. Honestly, some of my favorite biomes in general were added in this update.
Yeah, and they even brought back the savanna biome and completely overhauled it. So, and they brought back regular taigas instead of the snowy ones.
And they brought in fish, like physical fish you could see in the water, not just through fishing.
No, that wasn't this update. That was later.
Not?
No, that was 1.13.
It was 1. Oh, you're right. The aquatic update. My bad.
Yeah, this added in more. This was the update that added in more fish options for you to eat and like use with like the fishing rod
or on display.
Yes.
But for blocks, podzol, acacia wood, dark oak, stained glass, and stained panes, which is really good if you're a builder.
Yes, as a creative mode guy, that was a big deal. And it added in like a million different flowers.
Which definitely makes the world the world of Minecraft already had a good variety, but now there was just a lot more was added to really.
It did come at the cost of like the old rose texture for the poppies, but I think that was a sacrifice I was willing to give up.
Yeah, I think that's a change for the better anyways.
So, but yeah, like this added in so many amazing biomes that like, you know, people love to this day. And truth be told, and again, this isn't going to factor in too much, keep in mind, but 1.7.10 for the longest time was the version of Minecraft that I exclusively played for years. Because that was the best version for the modding scene. So, keep in mind there is a little bit of a bias there for that. I don't know. 1.5 and 1.7, I will admit, that was just kind of a... I do have a bit of a bias for just 2013 in general. 2013 to like 2014.
Just your early days in Minecraft.
But my early days. But like... I do, like, even just putting the mod scene aside, I genuinely do think that this is at least my personal favorite update ever for Minecraft. Like, because
this is the top.
Yes, this is easily, easily top 3 for sure. And I think most people do agree with me on that statement anyways. And because at the end of the day, it's like, it basically made... Well, this also was another update that changed the world generation. So, all the 1.7 biomes were spawning in. And this was also the version where it finally fixed the weird shit where, like, cold biomes were spawning next to hot biomes.
They're not spawning next to deserts.
Yeah, from this point onwards, you rarely ever saw like snow biomes spawn next to like Badlands, for example. Like that was an ultra rare thing that still like that may happen once in a blue moon, and not like not a common like spawning like it did pre 1.7.
Now there's proper cohesion between biomes.
Yes. So, and I don't know. I just have a lot of memories playing 1.7 because again, this was the version I played for a long time, up until like what 2019, 2020. I stuck to this version of Minecraft for that long.
This is basically kind of what you're most familiar with.
Yes. So at the end of the day, I do consider it to be one of the best versions of Minecraft. So, but yeah, do you have a similar take?
I have a similar sentiment as well. I would put this right along in the S tier, just because
Yes.
it just added some of my personal favorite biomes into the game. It's just the mega taigas and the roof forests and the flower forests. Like, those are just some of my favorite biomes. And with like stained glass and stained panes, just adding to the building. Because I'm also quite a builder in Minecraft as well. And of course with dark oak and, you know, Acacia wood, just sort of all the other items that they added for building just really improve the game for me.
But yeah, 1.7 wins.
7 wins.
All right. So yeah. 1.7, pretty great. 1.8 though.
Well, it's a full update.
Yeah, I'd say it was fine. Like,
I'd say it was bountiful. We got endermites, rabbits, guardians, elder guardian. We got ocean.
Yeah, okay,
temples,
we did get ocean monuments, which were pretty cool.
Ocean monuments.
Yeah, we got rabbits, which were cool.
We got granite and andesite, which are just staples in caves now.
Yeah, this was whenever they finally like actually gave cave variants to like the blocks. You still had the normal stone, but they just kind of added as like an alternative, and I use those all the time in builds, so that's good.
And this added villager harvest, so villagers actually they didn't just stand around.
Did shit, and they weren't just like, you know,
standing around doing nothing, but they would go to the like, you know, the scholars would go to the library, the blacksmith would be at the, you know, the blacksmith, and like farmers would farm. Like, villages felt a lot more alive, which is a nice immersive sort of addition to the game. And other smaller things like lanterns and slime blocks, you know, coarse dirt, stuff that are armor stands, banners, stuff that are really important for builders.
Yeah, this was also the version that added in a spectator mode. So if you wanted to kind of just like look around, you had that.
A lot of people.
And this also made it. This was the update that made it to where lapis lazuli was more than just a dye, because this was the version where they were used for enchants. So. And
this is the first update that officially added Alex into the game. So now it's not just Steve, but there's Alex. So we have our 2 protagonists now.
Yes.
I know Alex isn't as well known as Steve, but still, I you know, just another like official character into the game, I guess you could say.
Well, not just character, but also player model, because it made yeah.
Just player model. You had a choice of 2 different player models now at default. So another nice addition. So yeah, I would just put 1.8 at a comfortable B tier.
Yeah,
a very nice update. Very nice.
Yeah, I didn't play this version as often, because keep in mind, like, this was whenever I was really playing Minecraft exclusively with its mods, and there weren't really as many mods made for 1.8 for whatever reason. But like, I do like what 1.8 offered. Even if it wasn't a version I played often, I still respect it for what it brought to the table. Because at the end of the day, I think the blocks that it added in, as well as the new mobs, as well as like a lot of the new like items like banners and stuff like that, ended up pretty, you know, being beneficial in the long run. But of course, we've got the next update. Keep in mind, 1.8 in a lot of people's eyes was like the last. I don't want to say true version of Minecraft because I don't like that sentiment, but like
Yeah, I don't like that.
it was like in a lot of players' minds, it was
of the classic era.
Yeah, it was the end of like the OG Minecraft that like people know of. Because keep in mind that this was in 2014 when 1.8 came
wouldn't come out.
It wouldn't come out until 2016, a year and a half after the longest period in between Minecraft updates that we have ever had.
So it's the version of 1.8's the version of Minecraft that a lot of people are the most familiar with. And that it was the longest standing version thus far.
Yes.
In the series' history.
And then, well, 1.9 came around, and it quickly became the most hated version of Minecraft, even more so than Beta 1.8. Because of one simple change. They changed the combat. So, I don't know how you feel about the new combat changes that were made with this update. How do you feel?
I could care less. I think, like, I don't know, I feel like Minecraft's just, it's weird in that I don't really think there's anything the game could personally do. Like, personally, I don't think there's anything the game could do that would make me upset. So it's hard for me to get mad at certain changes. There's things that annoy me about the game, but I've never had a problem with the new combat system, nor did I have any love for the old one.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of have a neutral opinion. I just don't really mind as much.
So, obviously, I put this in C tier, as I mentioned. And that's partially because I don't despise the new changes that they made, but I'm certainly not someone who liked them. Because, to put this in perspective, before 1.9, the combat was basically, well, it was basically involving, like, you know, spam attacks. But each hit that you made on, like, an enemy or, like, another player, it would equal, like, depending on weapon that you had, it would do the equal amount of damage that you would dish out for every single, like, hit that is shown on the number underneath. So, for example, let's say, like, you had a diamond sword and it did, you know, plus 7 damage. You would do 8 damage across the board. But with 1.9, not only did they make the weapon handling slower, which that I'm fine with. I'm fine with them slowing, like, that I didn't have a problem with. Because, you know, it makes it to where you have to be a bit more strategic on how you have to hit enemies. But this is the part that I didn't like. I didn't like how for each time that you hit earlier, they decreased the damage output that you do. That's what I was really annoyed with. Because it basically made it to where if you wanted to clear out mobs, it was more frustrating than it should have been. And that got super, like, granted, I have gotten used to it now, but I still do get really annoyed at stuff like dealing with that at certain points. Because it just feels more like a chore to, like, use. Granted, I'm not one of those people who absolutely hates the combat changes, but the fact that, like, you don't have the option to go back to the old combat system, I do find to be a bit shitty.
It's a little, yeah.
And Mojang themselves have confirmed that they're never going to add an ability to have legacy versions. They have, as a matter of fact, on their website, they actually have a list of suggestions that are made that they will just instantly, just block.
Yeah.
And that's on that list. And to be frank, that is one of the ones that I have to say is kind of lame. So it's up there with not having vertical slabs, but that's a whole other conversation. But I don't know. Again, I don't hate the changes, but I don't like them at the same time. That being said, though, it is not a complete F tier for me because
we could get the end city.
Yes, this was the version that finally actually added something to the end. End cities and the chorus fruits. Or flowers, or whatever the fuck they're called.
Whatever.
This finally added something to do post-Ender Dragon boss fight in the end. Which is something that people have wanted for a long time. Because, funny enough, I keep bringing up mods. I'm sorry, it's just, I play a lot of Minecraft with mods.
You play a lot of mods.
But, there's, like, in 1.6 and 1.7, there was a mod called the Hardcore Ender expansion, which basically expanded the end. It added in a new volcanic island, like a infested island, and like a demonic island to the game. And also like a Ender Tower boss. And that was one of the most popular mods at the time. Why? Because the end was kind of a barren dimension that you barely did anything in. It was a wasteland. And people wanted more to do in it. And, well, this update finally allowed people to do that. Like, to be able to do more stuff in the end. And be able to get one of the, at least, I will admit, net positive things that was added to the game. The Elytra. The best transportation item in the game. By far. Because this thing allowed you to fly in survival, especially when combined with fireworks. Yeah, you're basically you move so damn fast, it was insane. And to this version's credit, this also added in some other cool stuff, like igloos, for example. And it added in the shulker mobs, which I don't know if I like the shulkers, but that's a whole...
Yeah, you've expressed dislike.
Yeah, I just find them to be kind of annoying. Which, of course, by nature, it added in the levitation effect because of that. And yeah, that's just kind of annoying. This version also, although with the combat changes, it did also finally add in shields, which I do like shields. I think shields are cool, and I'm glad that they were added into the game. And they also added in the ability to actually spawn in end crystals. So if you wanted to have that, you could without having to fully destroy them. And I don't know, just overall... Oh yeah, and also, this version of the game added in mending, which allowed you to basically just have your tools never break. So, what it did add, a lot of it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think is enough to not make this update entirely.
Yeah, it's not total shit like people make it out to be. Like, it's not the worst update. But, like, I'm sorry, I just still don't fully like the combat changes that they made. Simply just off the basis of them nerfing, like, swords, making it to where axes are a much better weapon to use. So, I don't like that change. So, but of course, we've got plenty more updates to go. So, unfortunately, 1.9 is the beginning of what people consider to be Minecraft's Dark Age. From 2016... Actually, honestly, from 2015 to about, like, 2019-ish. People just didn't really care for Minecraft anymore, and, well, version 1.9 kind of solidified that, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And so these next updates, at least these next few updates we're going to talk about, I'm not going to lie, I am going to be a bit more negative on. Except for the last one in this row. Because I actually have really positive things to say about this specific version. So, okay. 1.10. F. 1.11. C tier. 1.12. D tier. 1.13. B tier. And 1.14. S tier. 1.10. This added in polar bears, and it added in the husk and the stray.
That is it.
That is it.
Polar bears, I love them, but they don't really serve a purpose. They're just kind of there. They're cool, but they're there. Strays and husks.
Well, okay.
Not...
Well, here's the problem with strays and husks. They're just desert and snow versions of the zombie and skeletons, respectively. They honestly don't feel like anything that would be in vanilla. They feel like something that could be in a mod.
It feels like a skin mod.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it's cool that they're here, but would have been better if they were just a part of a much larger update.
Well,
and
honestly, I kind of find them to be kind of... Well, I kind of find them to be a bit, like, pointless. Because I just feel like they were just made just for the sake of having something in deserts and the taigas and ice plains. Like, they honestly serve very little purpose, just kind of beyond the basic stuff that they had. And, well, with polar bears, yeah, they look cool, but, like, how many times are you going to encounter a polar bear?
Not many times.
Not many times. Really, and this is why...
anything interesting.
And this is why I do get really annoyed when people shit on 1.6. Because it's like, yes, horses was the only mob that was added, but they actually added a purpose to them. You could actually, use them, and they were the fastest way to traverse the world for a good 3 major updates. And not only that, but also, again, that command, that day-night cycle command, is such a huge thing for me that it added in so much for me to be able to do. 1.10 added in 3 mobs that serve little to no purpose. Sure, there were also other things that were added in. There was the fossils that were added in, but guess what? You can just make a fucking skeleton farm and just get bone meal from that. You don't need to find fossils. Really. Yeah, it's kind of pointless in that regard. And as far as like stuff like magma blocks, nether wart blocks, and red nether brick, I bet people don't even know that red nether brick even exists.
Aren't all the bricks in? Aren't they all red?
Well, it's a brighter red, but you get the point. It's kind of a pointless block. This also made it to where Enderman finally spawned in the nether for some weird reason. Okay?
Sure. I don't... Okay, sure. Fine.
Also, okay, and here's the annoying thing about this update. This was the version that had auto jump turned on immediately. Like, this was the version that added an auto jump. A mechanic that actually got me killed.
Yeah, like... Honestly, just kind of nauseating.
I get so fucking annoyed whenever, like, because they had it turned on by default for the longest fucking time, and it pissed me off. And again, like I said, it actually got me killed multiple times. So yeah, no, I'm sorry, but this update sucks. Like,
it upsets me.
Like, it's easily one of the worst updates of Minecraft has ever had, and it's not like. It's pretty fucking bad. So, again, they could have done so much more. But they didn't. So, the only thing that this thing has going for it is the fact that, like, if you wanted to find wolves in, like, forests, in, like, taigas, they no longer despawned, like, regular, like, hostile mobs. That's the only thing that it has going for it. And even then, again, I think I mentioned this before, that is something that could have been done in another update.
Yeah, these are smaller additions that would have been more well received in a much bigger update.
So yeah, no, lame. All right, next up, 1.11. So this was the one that added in the Woodland Mansions, and by extension, it added in the Vindicators and the Evokers. So the first of the Illagers. So
the Illagers.
I mean, I will say, the Totem of Undying is a cool item to try to get from Evokers, because it basically it prevents you from being able to die after using it, which is kind of cool. Though I don't know if it's a fully necessary thing unless you're fighting something like the Wither or like the Ender Dragon. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like just not something that I particularly use often in my gameplay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like it's more of a niche. This also added in the shulker boxes, which are basically just an alternative to chests, but is there a difference between chests and shulker boxes?
I have no clue. I don't think so.
I don't know. What else did this add? I mean, this also okay. One big thing that this added is that this did add in the locate command. So if you want to locate structures or biomes, that was a pretty big deal. So that you didn't have to search a million goddamn miles. So that was kind of cool. And this was also the version where they changed the ID system so that you didn't have to worry about the number ID anymore. So, oh wait, no. Oh wait, no, never mind. That was 1.8. This was where they changed it to where it wasn't case sensitive, which is just a tiny thing. So
yeah, kind of a lower C update.
Oh, this also really added in the fucking Vexes, and Vexes are annoying.
It's only really saved by just the Woodland Mansions just being really cool structures.
Yeah, Woodland Mansions and the locate command, I'd say, are the things that definitely save this update. Because this update's kind of... It added in cartographers, villagers, but this... Honestly, this might be controversial. A part of me wants to put this in D tier. I mean, how often do you see Woodland Mansions?
Not often. Honestly, I might put them in D now that we talk about it.
Yeah. Again, it's not a terrible update, but it's not anything particularly... Again, keep in mind, you're also talking to someone who mostly plays in creative.
Yeah.
This is not an update that helps me with creative. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but it's just not a very good update. And then we have 1.12, which...
World of Color.
World of Color. Now, you would think that this update would be for someone like me, because, well, this added in a bunch of, new blocks. It added in concrete, in glazed terracotta. It also added in the dyed beds.
Very good things for builders, obviously.
Very good things for builders.
As well as parrots.
In theory, though. In theory. This also added in the recipe book so that you didn't have to look up the things online. That's cool. I will give it that. So, and this added in parrots. So yeah, you would think that you would think this would be an update that I would like, right? I got some bad news for you though.
You're wrong.
I could care less about the concrete and glazed terracotta blocks. I just feel like they don't really add too much of a purpose, especially since there's already the dyed clay blocks that are in the game.
Clay blocks? I mean, they're different shades of that color.
I mean, yeah, they're different shades, but guess what? There's even for the blocks that have alternatives, like that have like a color here, guess what? There's alternatives to them. Like for example, those blue blocks, I can just use lapis lazuli for those. So it's like I just don't really see too much of a purpose. And also it's like parrots are just another mob that, while yes, adds a little bit more life to the jungles, they're not really the most useful mob. You know? Like,
no, not really. They're fun. I like them, but you're also talking to somebody who doesn't play in jungles too often, so I'm not really exposed to them.
Oh yeah. Oh, this was also the version that added in the. Okay, I know why they added it in. And if it's helpful for you, that is completely fine. But I do get really goddamn annoyed when I have to try to make sure that I have the settings turned off for the narrator. I understand why it is useful though, because it's for those who have auditory issues. If that's something that you have to use, that is fine.
Use them.
I just personally find it kind of annoying every time I kept hearing him. Every time I started the game, and when I accidentally forget to turn him off. That's just me personally, though. So, that being said, if it is something that is helpful for you, that is completely fine.
Yeah.
So, that being said, though, I'd say the one good thing about this update were the dyed beds, but more so, but less in a survival sense and more so in a creative sense.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's like the one thing from this update where they tried making it that like I do think is cool.
I just genuinely do like.
Mm-hmm. So I will give credit where credit is due in that regard. So
let's get to the.
Wait, what did you rank 1.12?
I ranked 1.12 with the D tier as well.
Dang. Okay.
It's not very much.
Okay.
Let's go to the other two.
All right.
The other.
All right. 1.13. So I'd say this is like the biggest update that they've done, probably since probably since 1.7. I'd say.
Yeah, like since they changed the world update, because this added shipwrecks, icebergs, underwater ruins, treasure, coral reefs, and with that, just
wait, hold on. Sorry, but yeah, like it added in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to wait for the obvious elephant in the room for this one, but yeah, like as far as like structures, yeah, like it added in a lot of cool things. Yeah,
so something the community had been asking for a long time was more additions to oceans and just water in general.
Yeah, like stuff added to like ocean biomes, because oceans were kind of one of the weaker biomes for a while, and it didn't help whenever like people, whenever there were oceans that would last so long that people literally dubbed them infinite oceans. So to have ocean biomes finally have coral reefs as well as like actual like kelp and stuff like that was pretty awesome. And of course, with that we had we had salmon, we had pufferfish, tropical fish, dolphins, turtles, even like the drowned zombies, which do kind of feel like something that is a bit modded, but like they still add at least something to that. And of course, with that comes the trident, which was the best weapon in the game for a good while. Granted, it was kind of hard to get those, but the fact that they added in those were pretty good. And of course, some of the effects were pretty cool, like the Dolphin's Grace and Slow Falling. That was pretty cool. And just overall, like, what they did with, like, ocean biomes was pretty good. So why am I putting this in B tier? One word. Phantoms.
Phantom.
AKA one of the worst mobs ever added into the game.
Especially if you were playing on multiplayer, because from my experience with multiplayer, very rarely would all the players be able to get together to sleep. A lot of people will be doing their own things and wouldn't really have the time to either get back to their base or to set up a spot to sleep at. So for me personally, playing online, it's very common for us to be awake just throughout the day and the night. And phantoms would only come in and serve as annoyances to that effect. More so like you're like a parent nagging you to go to bed, basically. That's basically what they added into the game.
And the worst part is that you could not turn them off. Like, you had to, like, deal with this shit. And that, honestly, because I remember whenever I was playing on, like, a world, I think it was, funny enough, it was in 1.15, but the post didn't turn them off. I quit playing that server because how much I fucking hated those motherfuckers. Because here's the thing, they ruin a part of the game that didn't have a problem to begin with. Like...
Yeah, like what? How are you being inconvenienced by just staying up throughout the night? If anything, there's some times where you can argue that you're encouraged to stay up through the night so you can fight mobs for certain items.
Well, not only that, but also, that's like the perfect time for you to be able to mine inside, like, mine shafts. Or not mine shafts, but just in caves. Is doing it during the night so that you don't have to worry about, you know, the mobs, like, going after you or whatever. Or as much.
Your home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it honestly was... what made it worse is that, well, this was the first mob that we're going to be talking about that was a part of the mob vote. Which, for those who don't know, is a series of votes that Mojang does every single year, where they either add in a new mob or a new biome, or they update a biome or whatever, to, you know, add more content being driven by the community. And that was the mob that won the first mob vote. But here's the dumb part.
All the other options?
Yeah, you can't have those.
Never, and they explicitly state that. We're never adding them.
And yeah, remember that list that I've mentioned of, like, things that they'll never add? They explicitly have mob vote mobs that didn't win won't be added. Which is the dumbest fucking rule I've ever seen.
You already have the design, you already have the model, you already know what it's going to do. It would be so easy to add it into the game, but you choose not to.
Yeah, you don't actively choose to do it, especially if there's already... Because here's the dumb part too. Even in the updates where they add in, like, mob vote mobs, they add in other mobs in those updates. So it's fucking hypocritical of them. Like, it would make sense if, like, that was the only mob they would add in to, like, the update, like, after the mob vote. But they don't do that. They just they add in other mobs into the game in those updates anyways. Like 1.13, for example, because again, they added in a ton of fish, and they added in the drowned zombies and dolphins alongside phantoms. So it just feels...
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, like... And it just doesn't make any goddamn sense to why they have that rule. But point is that with 1.13, it is an overall good update, but those phantoms are the Achilles heel. They are that bad. They are that bad, people. Like...
They are extremely frustrating at worst and just pointless at best. Because if you play on single player and go to bed regularly, then you never see them. So at best, even at the best of circumstances, they're just pointless. You could completely forget that they're even in the game.
Well, their drop isn't even all that good either. Because, like, it's used for a potion effect, but it's only for very niche things. So... Yeah, because it's the slow falling, which I will admit slow falling can be cool, but, like, it's not an entirely necessary potion to use.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, not quite the update that Mojang was hoping for. Thankfully, though,
But
they
1.14.
they would finally turn things around with 1.14.
The Village and Pillage update. Not only did we get the bamboo forest, which is a very beautiful biome, but we got cats as opposed to just ocelots turning into cats. Now they're two separate mobs. There's pillagers and ravengers, which add to the new mechanic of villages being raided every now and again if you spend a certain amount of time in them.
No, basically what happens is if you kill a pillager with a banner, it gives you the bad omen effect, and if you go to near a village, it then starts the raid. That's how the raids work.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, you can tell we're getting into the era of Minecraft where I'm not as familiar.
Where you're not as familiar, but I did my research, so...
But you did the research.
So yeah, like it added in raids, which that might sound like it would be annoying, but actually it's very useful, especially if you want to get evoke, because it spawns in every single like villager type, so it includes vindicators, evokers, which are useful for getting totems of undying, much more commonly, pillagers, the ravagers, which are the giant like fucking bull like
giant fucking
the bull like guys.
Things.
And it also spawns in witches. So if you wanted to make a witch farm or an evoker farm, that's like a really good way to do so. And well, with the village part, it completely overhauled villages to where they look way nicer. Granted, I still like the classic look of like villages, but like the new villages do objectively look way better.
Look better. Completely new, more aesthetically pleasing structures that are dependent on what biome they are in. So plains, taiga, jungle, desert. Well, there were differences between like regular and desert villages. There were more than 2 variants now based on the biome you are in.
Yes, because this also added in savanna, taiga, and snowy villages. So
and villagers themselves looks different depending on what biome you are on, which is another mod type, feeling it change, but it works well with just the addition of different villages.
Honestly, I would say that does fit into vanilla because it makes it to where villages aren't so reliant on the same models, because villages before 1.14, the villages all pretty much look the same except for their robe color. So
for now is different accessories and what have you based on their occupations as well.
Yes, and that also applies to zombie villagers as well. So, sorry.
Also, we got a lot of really good mobs other than cats and pillagers and ravagers. We got pandas for the bamboo forest, foxes, which have easily become some of my favorite mobs just by how adorable they are. And, well, we have some of my least favorite mobs, the wandering traders, which
you hate this motherfucker.
I do. They're not really harmful, but they're really annoying, especially when you're still building a house, because they get in the way. They're basically pushy salesmen that never leave you alone, until eventually you get so frustrated that you kill them. Like, I normally don't kill villagers, like, I feel bad killing villagers, but wandering traders are so intrusive that I feel it's just so annoying. You just want them to leave you alone, because...
I mean, are they worse than the fucking phantoms, though? No.
They are not worse. They are much better than the phantoms, because these don't harm you. They're more so annoying.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And also, they don't really offer very good trading. Like, kind of a weak spot that a lot of villagers kind of have is a lot of their trade deals are just kind of weird. Like, like emeralds for saplings, like 2 emeralds for like a cherry tree sapling. It's just kind of like just things that aren't really particularly valuable. for the most part, which kind of makes emeralds feel a little more useless than I think they should be. But regardless, cats, pillagers, ravengers, pandas, foxes, very much so.
It added in more good than bad.
Yeah, more good than bad. The bad they added was just annoying.
Yeah.
Just a slight inconvenience.
Well, I would also say that this is a pretty big update anyways, well, for many reasons, but this also added in a ton of new, like, useful, functional blocks, because this added in, like, the campfire, barrels, campfires, bells,
cartography tables, composters, fletching tables, smithing tables, stone cutters, grindstones, lanterns, lecterns, looms, just
a whole sweep of like new blocks that actually add a use, like the looms, for example. You can use those to customize banners even more so than you did just using the crafting tables. And these
stone cutters being good to make slabs and smooth stone or smooth granite or what have you.
Mm-hmm. And then
more building options, survival.
Yeah, and then of course, scaffolding being very useful if you want to have like a quick way to just kind of knock down like blocks while you build like giant structures in survival, like,
or for mining on cliff sides or very large, very deep caves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's so useful, and even just even just like tiny things, like the fact that this was the update that made it to where leaves can actually drop sticks now. Like, it's just, honestly, this was when Minecraft finally got its shit together and
got its momentum back a little.
Yeah. And
not that it wasn't a dark period, but just, I mean, it is kind of telling that this sort of is around the time that Minecraft started to become very popular again.
Yes.
During that sort of era, like, 2015, 16, 17, 18, Minecraft was still popular and well liked, but there was a minority.
It was popular, but, well, as someone who lived through it, because keep in mind, like, a big chunk of those was during my high school years.
It faded into the background, you could say. And even some people, you even get some people who would come out and just unironically.
I hate to put it this way, but like, it was kind of considered lame to like Minecraft.
Yeah, like that's what I was going to get. Like, there were some people out there who would just come out and say that like Minecraft wasn't really good, or that it was just a kid's game, or that we liked it because we were young and we're grown up now. Even though it's only been like 3 years, but it just started to get a weird negative connotation thanks to the whole cringe culture era of the internet. We're not going to get too much into that because we're not really going to
not get into that shit, because that shit drives me up the fucking wall. So
we're not going to get into what's happening outside of the game, but I guess it's just a worthy of note that with the Village and Pillage update, it probably helped get Minecraft to be
this along with the PewDiePie playthrough, those helped bring Minecraft back into like a more respectable point.
Yeah.
So, but of course,
the more reason to praise it 1.14.
Yes. And now let's get into the more recent updates, or some more recent updates.
The last batch of updates.
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, we might as well talk about 1.20, 1.21 here. Actually, no. Okay, we'll do 1.15 to 1.19, and then we'll do those. So, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Because the 2020s era of Minecraft.
Well, we've got one more update from the 2010s. That's 1.15. But all right, 1.15.
Fuzzy bees.
D tier. 1.16 S tier. 1.17 and 1.18. I kind of have to put them together. I'll put both of them in B tier. And then 1.19, I'll put that one in C tier? Question mark?
Wild.
Okay. 1.15.
Right,
so this was the last update of the 2010s. December 10th, 2019.
December 10th, 2019.
Following the success of the Village and Pillage update, what does Mojang do?
Bees. I mean, I like the bees. I like the honey stuff. I think it's neat, but it's just one thing. It's an update that's entirely hinged on one mechanic.
One gimmick, and that gimmick I never use.
Yeah,
so
kind of
again, this is kind of in a similar boat to like, beta 1.4 or like 1.6 or even 1.10. But I will say the reason why this is not an F tier for me is because, well, this was the version that allowed you to turn off phantoms. So naturally, I wouldn't put this in F tier because of it. If that
wasn't a thing though, then this would be an F tier for you.
Yes.
Well, good for them then.
So, because like
at the end of the day,
this is the last update you do for the 2010s, like
the
Minecraft decade.
Yeah, like kind of a bit of a fizzle, like.
Yeah, like it's. I think that's ultimately why I'm way more harsh on this update, because we're this late into Minecraft. And this was the last update of like the decade.
You put out like a gimmick update.
Yeah. Like, but again, like I mean, and here's the thing. Obviously, honey would be used for waxing later down the line. But again, we're not ranking stuff that was added in for later updates. We're doing it in the update itself. And, well, yeah, no, honey.
Not a really useful addition. A nice addition, but not really useful.
Exactly. So,
regardless, though, thankfully...
Yeah, they would rectify that with another banger update for their first major update for the 2020s.
Yeah.
The Nether.
The 2010s may have ended a little quietly. The 2020s would come out with a real big bang with the Nether update.
Yes.
And my God, did they completely turn the Nether into honestly, just a beautiful fucking place. Like, still very dark and sinister, but beautiful at the same time. Like, it really made the Nether feel like it really was its own world with its own ecosystem and its own creatures and biomes, its own little mini biomes. It made the Nether feel like you really were stepping into a different world that has its already established culture and I won't say culture, but just...
Well, it had its own it was just a completely other, like, universe.
Yeah, like, its own ecosystem.
And I am very, very happy that an update like this even happened. Because it's funny, because I put, like, Alpha 1.2 in S tier, the version that added the Nether. Well, this was the 1.16 was the version that overhauled the Nether completely.
Perfected the Nether.
Yeah. So I think it is really telling as to, how I put both updates that heavily focused around the Nether.
You really like the Nether. You like hell. You like the demon stuff.
I I guess I didn't do
Yeah,
that intentionally, because like, well, I guess the fucking 1.4 Wither as well is on there, so I guess
you have a bias for the dark and macabre and sinister and evil.
no, I don't. I just think
We
it's a
all know this.
genuinely good update that was good for Minecraft. Because this update.
Thanks for the very politician-esque answer.
Well, I'm just being serious though. I didn't intentionally do that.
It's an interesting connection.
Well, it's an interesting connection, but anyways, the Nether is honestly like one of the best updates that they had. And well, truth be told, it is the most recent version of Minecraft I've been playing a lot, both modded and unmodded. Because like obviously this added in a ton of new stuff. It added in new structures, including the Bastion remnants, the basalt pillars, ruin portals, nether fossils, but also it added in actual biomes into the nether that aren't just the nether wastes. You will have the crimson and warped forests, the basalt deltas, and the soul sand valley, all of which look insane. And it's also complemented by the new mobs that they added, including the piglins, the strider, the zoglin and hoglins, piglin brutes. Admittedly, this is a tiny nitpick for me. I don't like the fact that they replaced the zombie pigmen with the zombie piglins. That's the
not that you don't like the piglins, but you just kind of wish they could have had both.
I wish they could have had both, especially considering that the easiest solution to that could have been have zombie pigmen, instead of spawning in the nether, have them spawn in the overworld in specific biomes, and just add in like a normal pigman mob, kind of as an alternative to like a villager.
Yeah,
and then
like a different race of villager, kind of.
Exactly.
In a sense.
Like, I feel like that could have been the perfect compromise, but they ended up just getting rid of like a mob that's been in the game for over a decade, which is it's something that like I still don't necessarily fully like, but I do think that it is still genuinely a really good update overall, especially since, again, it added in so many new things to the nether, like new biomes, new blocks, the ability to actually get gold in the nether without having to rely on, zombie pigmen or piglin spawns, and even adding in the first music disc in 8 years.
Pigstep.
Pigstep, which we heard like a week ago or very recently, and we thought,
2 days. We thought it was pretty decent, pretty nice.
Yeah. And also this added in the this also added in the lodestone, which basically acts as sort of an alternative, spawner, or not spawner, but like a alternative respawn, which is nice.
Yeah.
And of course, the crimson and warped planks are very cool looking, and pretty much just add to more elements for creative mode. So at the end of the day, Nether update, easily one of the best updates. Even if there's one nitpick I don't like about it, I still think that overall the good heavily outweighs the negatives. So, but yeah, that then leads us into 1.17. Yeah, the caves and cliff updates. The second duo updates that we've seen. This one's kind of weird because I feel like you have to kind of talk about them together. Because
should we just talk about them together?
Well, here's the thing. 1.17 was the one that added in the blocks and the mobs, while 1.18 was the one that changed the generation. So, I feel like they kind of have to be talked about together in a weird way. You can still rank them separately, but...
Well, I was going to say, I didn't really rank them separately. In all honesty, I put both of these at an S tier. I
Dang,
absolutely
that
love.
high. Wow.
I do. I absolutely love the way they just completely overhauled caves and mountains into these absolutely beautiful structures that are, especially with caves, just making them less creepy and more beautiful in their own way. Which I know for some people might be a turnoff, but I don't know. Minecraft was never seen to me as anything that would be anything creepy. Just more, even though I do like some of the more
Well, caves were
eerie
just
aspects.
caves pre 1.17. They were just dull. Like
Yeah, like they were dull, and here we have new mobs that spawn in caves like axolotls and glow squids. We have all kinds of different types of caves, such as ones with all like stalactite caves, marsh. I forgot what like the lush caves. Yeah, the dripstone cave. I'm sorry, the
yeah,
dripstone
dripstone.
caves, the lush caves. Just sort of that. Just a whole kind of just make it. The lush caves in particular are some of my favorites because they just feel so otherworldly, but in a good way. They
Mm-hmm.
almost feel kind of magical in a weird way. And the
Yeah.
same goes for mountains. Goats, I like them. I wish you could keep them, but they jump over my fences, so
Well, that
I
and
can't keep
also
them.
if you piss them off, they will go after you the entire time.
They will kill you. 'Cause goats are mean. The only thing I could say, they added things like, you know, I will say there's a couple things I don't like about the update. One, the deep snow.
That
I
is a pretty fucking stupid thing that they added.
I
God.
honestly think that is a really bad addition because it's just kind of like a mean-spirited gotcha, like the way it feels.
Yeah.
Just like it's not. Yes, it's only barely distinct from regular snow blocks, and just that it's slightly more bluish, but like not obviously enough, and just how it has like a frostbite mechanic that you don't really like. That's only like applicable to this situation and no other circumstances is just kind of cheap feeling
Mm-hmm.
because you get the frostbite and you're like, where the hell did this come from? I've never had to experience this before. It's just this weird one-time mechanic
Yeah,
that
it's
should just
dumb.
not be in the game. And the other thing that I do with is copper. I like copper. I like copper blocks. I like how, they age and turn green. Like, I like the colors. I like them as a building material. I just don't like the way they spawn in caves. I don't like
Yeah,
how they have.
they're way too common, I think.
Yeah,
Like
they took a precedent over iron when it comes to where they spawn. And that wouldn't be so much of a problem if you could make
like
if you could make
copper
tools.
tools, but no, they don't have
Yeah,
copper tools.
if you could make copper tools or copper armor, you can't really do that. So like iron is still a very much needed ore in the game, but they decreased the spawn rate.
Yeah,
They
they
caused like a
nerfed.
weird they caused a weird inflation where iron is still super needed but is more expensive or just more rare. That's the only issues I would really have though with this update. Otherwise, I think they completely overhauled some, and just with, snowy slopes and jagged peaks and frozen peaks also just being beautiful biomes in their own right. I really do like these two updates, regardless of my annoyances with copper and heavy snow.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to be a bit harsher because like I do get really annoyed that like they did nerf the spawn rate for iron so much so that like it can get really annoying. And well, I do appreciate the amount of new blocks that they added for copper and for like pretty much everything else, like the deep slate, I think is pretty cool. Yeah, also, yeah, the tough blocks, and stuff like that. I do feel like it did come at the cost of each update, honestly, kind of feeling like basically I do feel like just each update kind of balanced out each other about like its pros and cons. Like for example, 1.17 was mostly dedicated to adding in the blocks themselves and adding in the areas that are below like the regular stone.
Yeah, the deep slate sort of.
Yeah.
Is it deep slate?
Yes, it's deep slate.
Deep slate. Okay.
And while I do like that, it did come at the cost of one particular issue: performance and kind of lack of like actual like biome stuff. Like, you know, I don't know, like
Yeah.
obviously 1.18 would add in the actual biome stuff and add in like the cliffs, but I do feel like that update for 1.18 came at the cost of just anything else substantially new. That, and also performance for Minecraft unfortunately did plummet because of these updates. Like, it's not as easy to run anymore.
They cause more technical issues on your end.
Yeah, which part of the problem, of course, is because I do have an older computer. But here's the thing: 1.16 works fine on my computer, and my computer is old as fuck. So these two updates, I do feel like, regardless of just kind of like, you know, what they added and what they didn't add, that's one thing that like I have to give it a bit more criticism for, is that it did come at the cost of performance. So granted, hint hint, wink wink, nudge nudge, hopefully that will change real soon, but
wink.
But I just, that is an annoyance that like unfortunately I cannot ignore. That, and also again, just like with the Phantoms, the Glow Squids was another mob vote mob, but in this case, it was completely rigged. For reasons obviously I don't want to get into, but if you guys know, you know. So, need I say more? Oh, I guess you aren't going to say anything.
No, need I say more? No, I don't think I do.
So yeah, at least in my opinion, I do overall think they're both good updates. I just feel like, yeah, they kind of flip-flop between each other. Plus some issues with performance and certain mob votes being really goddamn annoying. But of course, that then gets us into 1.19.
Our last 3 updates.
So, well, 1.19. This added in the ruined cities, with alongside that came the Warden, as well as mangrove swamps, which alongside came with frogs, and of course that came with mangrove trees and a bunch of other things. Let me check the...
Which added some variety to swamps, which was something that a lot of people in the community were also asking for a while.
Yeah, but that kind of gets into what I was saying earlier about the mob, like the biome vote, is that they did a biome vote back in 2019 where they said that they were going to update, like, where you had a choice between Badlands, swamps, and mountains to get updated. People voted for mountains, which of course was the Caves and Cliffs update. But they also ended up adding in a lot of the features that they were going to add for swamp biomes into its own biome anyways. So does that mean that Badlands are going to be... Okay, to be fair, they added armadillos, to be fair, but like...
No, they won't. They won't add any. They won't add to those.
I don't know. Mojang's fucking weird. But I guess the reason why I do put this update at least a little bit lower is because, well, truth be told, well, yes, ancient cities are cool, at least aesthetically, And I will admit, the Warden, at least in concept, is a really cool mini-boss. In concept, though. I find it to be kind of annoying to try to go around him, especially when the loot in the ancient cities is kind of lackluster. Like, you rarely ever find anything like diamonds in those.
They're cool. They're aesthetically, they're really cool, but
mechanically wise, not so much. And like I said, it doesn't help that like the Warden can kill you in like 2 shots, even if you're wearing netherite armor. Which I find it weird that a guy who's not even like a proper boss can kill you like that quickly. Because like something like the Ender Dragon or the Wither, I can see that, but not like a boss like not a guy like this. Unless if he is supposed to be a boss, which in that case, why doesn't he have a health bar?
Yeah, it feels
like it feels undercooked.
Yeah. Like it feels like he could be really cool, but he just ends off coming off as being kind of confusing.
Yeah, like again, not a bad, entirely terrible concept. I like the idea that like he can't like see you; he has to use echolocation. But like sometimes it can be kind of confusing on exactly whether or not you're doing the right thing or not, and he ends up killing you even if you're like, you know, crouch walking the entire time. That's just me though.
Good idea, just
executed not as great, especially considering that like literally nether fortresses have better loot than ancient cities. So yeah. Also, what else was added in this? Okay, mud blocks, yeah, mangrove blocks. Those are cool. The allays, they're kind of useless mob. Like, they can be useful on occasion, but they're such a niche.
Yeah.
Because they're like, for those who don't know, they basically just kind of, like, help, like, find or carry items for you.
Yeah, like, they're cool, but...
Yeah, not entirely, like, a requirement to use. And even, like, the Shulk Catalyst and the Shulk Shriekers, which are redstone, they can work with redstone. Again, those are very niche items that not a lot of people use in redstone. So, and yeah, I do give this update a bit more credit because I do like the building blocks, because I do think that like the deep dark and the mangrove, like the blocks that were added in those are so good that like I'm not gonna put it lower than C.
Same. I would put this as more of a C tier.
Yeah, like it's not a
terrible update.
Yeah, not a bad update, but like definitely one that is misguided.
It could have been a lot better if it was worked on a little longer.
Yeah, it was just misguided. So that's just me personally, though. And now we've got the last 2 updates.
The last 2.
1.20 and the most recent from this year, 1.21.
June 13th, 2024. So
yeah, over a month and a half.
Over a month and a half ago, as of the
recording.
Stream.
Okay, 1.20. I'm just gonna straight up say D tier.
D tier update.
D tier update.
You don't like sniffers? What do you mean? You don't like sniffers?
And then 1.21. As of right now, my opinion could change. Keep in mind, it's still relatively brand new. B tier.
Tricky Trials update.
Okay, 1.20. This was another lame update. Because, granted, I do think it was better than 1.15. It does have more. I will admit, it does have a bit more to it than 1.15. Because it added in camels, which I find to be kind of cool. It also added in cherry groves, which are a beautiful looking biome.
Yeah, one of my favorite biomes, honestly.
Like,
but regardless.
But yeah, regardless though, like, it was. This was the update that added in the archaeology, because I feel like we have to talk about the archaeology mechanic first.
Yeah,
like the archaeology mechanic. Well, yeah, because all you do is just kind of
put a brush on sand or dirt, and it's just kind of. It could be cool, but it's just sort of extremely underwhelming and never really. I personally haven't been able to figure it out. Maybe I'm being dumb, but I just haven't been able to figure out
that's how you use it. Is you use the brush on suspicious sand or suspicious gravel, and you can like get certain items from it. Problem is, a lot of the items are fucking trash items. Like, you might occasionally get something called a sherd, which, by the way, that's a dumb name.
Sherd, not a shard, but a sherd.
Yeah, it's a sherd. It's a sherd.
Even though it's a shard.
It's a fucking shard. Mojang, just call it a shard, because that's what it is. Sherd. It's a shard. But I don't know if it's that Swedish accent that they want to apply. But
weird.
But anyways, it adds in new pottery items in the game, which I will admit they are kind of interesting looking. Like, I can definitely see myself using those for like creative, but like not extremely often. And it doesn't help that like this edition, like this update, like, yeah, it added in camels, which I think are kind of cool. They kind of act as like an alternative to horses.
Yeah, they're cute. I like them.
But then we've got the other mob that was added in, which is the stupidest fucking mob that they ever added into the game.
The sniffers.
The sniffler. Another mob vote mob, may I remind you.
I just don't like their design. I don't like the colors. It's just clash. Yeah, I don't know what they're supposed.
It's like a little like turtle dinosaur dude, I guess.
Turtle dino thing. I don't.
Which, by the way, here's the dumbest part about this mob. You have to make the mob yourself. You can't find this, like, roaming around anywhere. No, you have to actually, like, find, like... I don't even know.
Like an iron golem. But at least... But, like...
But, like, with an iron golem, at least, he actually serves a purpose. Because, well, he can also just naturally spawn in villages anyways. Like, he's not like a mob that is entirely something you have to make, because you can have them spawn in villages. No, you have to make a sniffler. And guess what? The sniffler basically just does what you've been doing with the brushes anyways, just automatically.
So, not really useful at the end of the day.
Yeah, the fucking, again, the lamest mob ever added in Minecraft, and I will stand by that. He's the fucking lamest mob. He's the lamest mob. Name me one other mob that's, like, lame. And I'm not saying, like, worst, because, like, you know, phantoms are fucking terrible. But, like, name me one other mob that is just kind of the most pointless mob in the game. You can't.
Completely underwhelming. It's completely underwhelming.
Yeah. Like, I don't get this update. I don't get this fucking update. Yeah, not even the new flowers are all that useful anyways. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but, like, this update's lame. I've been saying that a lot, but this is the prime definition of a lame update, I feel like.
A lame update.
It is a lame update! You can't even disagree with me on that. So, yeah, no. No. No, it's not entirely F tier because again it added in camels, which I think are pretty cool, and again it added in the cherry blossom forests, which I think
I think saves this update.
It saves this update. As a matter of fact, I will admit it is probably going to be at the top of my D tier, but it's a D tier update for sure. So lame.
But
and then last but not least, we've got
the most recent update as of this recording.
Yeah, as of this recording, 1.21, the Tricky Trials. So
I do like
Huh?
I do like alliterative titles. So that's already a few points up.
Yeah, it's a few. I think this update is okay. Like, it adds in the trial chambers, which are basically like new versions of dungeons. Like, they're like not new versions. They didn't replace the spawner dungeons. But they're like more traditional like RPG dungeons essentially, where you have to go through them in order for you to get like some of the loot. And well, unlike ancient cities, the loot's actually worth it in this in these. And it also helps that they added in a new mob, the Breeze, which are basically just the wind versions of blazes, which are pretty cool. They also added in the Bogged, which are basically just swamp versions of skeletons, but that's whatever. What really makes this update are the items and the new blocks. So this added in the mace, which is a weapon that essentially works. Its damage is based off of the gravity that you put it on, and you use the new wind charges in order to kind of mess around with it. So you use wind charges to put yourself up high, and basically in order for you to like, you know, do damage against mobs effectively, you use like how far you're going to like kill it. It's, if I'm explaining it difficultly, I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically the short version is that theoretically it is now the new best weapon in the game, as you can literally hit, I think, up to like 60 or 70 damage depending on how high you are and you hit the mob. It is an insane weapon to use. So that's, granted, it's, you have to be very skilled with it, but it is a cool weapon nonetheless. There's also, obviously, like I said, there's the trial chests that they added, along with the trial keys that you can find. There's the, you know, breeze rods where you can actually use to craft the maces. Heavy cores, which add a bit more, you know, redstone functionality, which is nice. There's a bunch of new copper blocks that can be used, including the copper bulb, which acts as a really cool new light source. You know, you also got doors, trapdoors, chiseled blocks, as well as copper grates, as well as tough, you know, versions of like tough blocks, so slabs, stairs, walls, chisels, all that fun stuff. But, oh yeah, and this also adds in some new potion effects, such as infested, oozing, weaving, wind charged, basically, you know, all that fun stuff. But the best part of this update is the new technical block that they added into the game. The Crafter.
The Crafter.
This thing can make it to where you can auto-craft whatever the hell you want.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fucking broken. But it's a very useful thing if you want to like mass build a bunch of different items. So that makes it very easy if you want to build a lot of either weapons, or if you want to have like blocks be built, like, you know, crafted faster. So it is a very useful, very, very useful block in that regard. And even just like a lot of the new blocks that were added that are a bit more decorative, as someone who is a creative user, I do think that those are pretty cool, especially for the new tough and copper blocks. So, and since the loot is objectively better than they are in Ancient Cities, I think I can comfortably say that this is a B tier update. Not the greatest update, but it is a good update for sure. So, you got anything else to add to that, or?
Nope. Because honestly, this update I have, given that it's the newest, I don't really have much of an experience with. And again, I really nowadays I play Minecraft very casually, so
fair.
It's something I haven't had the time to look into. But as far as what if what I'm reading is correct, these are some very cool additions into the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think a B tier would be a decent way to sum it all up. Just basically just doing what the ruins do, but a lot better.
Yes. Basically what 1.19 should have been. But yeah, that's every update ranked on Minecraft. Oh yeah, DM me the list so that I can see it.
I will.
For your tier list. And while you do that, of course, actually no, I'll let you do that first or whatever. Actually, hold on. Oh shoot, I don't have a thing. I don't have a chat in the server. Okay. Yeah, I'll make a yeah, I'm gonna make a new chat for the server for the tier lists so that you can post it there. Alright, there we go. I need to reorganize this shit on my server.
There. How do I? God, it's been so long. How do I save or download?
Yeah, press save or download, and then right-click the thing.
And copy image. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find your. There it is. There. I got my tier list. I got one F tier. That is a first for me. First. I have one F tier.
Alright, let me check this. Okay, so F tier, beta 1.1. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely the worst update for sure. Just out of all of Minecraft. Alright. God, you are a 1.5 hater. God. That's the version I came from. Don't be rude. Rude.
Oh, hush now.
That's the only one I can fully disagree with. But anyways. So, that was the Minecraft update tier list. And, well, thanks for joining me on another one of these. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun as always.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been months, and I'm very happy that you were able to join. Actually, before we get into this, I have an announcement relating to Minecraft. So, I have decided by popular vote on my server that in light of, you know, us wanting to do more events, I have decided that starting, I'd say on Friday, I will be hosting my own Minecraft server for everyone to enjoy and have fun with. So, granted, the only reason why it's going to take a few days is because I want to make sure that I have everything set up. And I will actually even be streaming kind of what I'll be doing tomorrow in the game. So, you guys have a very, general idea of what I'm going to be doing. So, but as far as as far as like that is concerned, obviously I'll make sure to have like, you know, details on my Discord server for those who are interested in joining that, because I've just been kind of in the mood to play with other people in Minecraft. Keep in mind it will be on Java, because that's just the version I prefer. So sorry, Bedrock users. Sorry, Goldie. So,
Oh,
well, if you can find your old account, then maybe you'll be able to join in. But
maybe, but it's ancient. It's as old as 2012.
do you even
Whenever.
do you even remember the old email that you used for that account?
I do not. It's been such a
Damn.
long.
It's fuck.
It's gone. It's gone to the sands of time.
Hopefully it joins Prince with that. But anyways, not that Prince, other Prince. Anyway, so yeah, I'll be having details on there. It will be regularly regulated, so don't even fucking try to act funny in it. But anyways, so of course, as always, I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you guys want to, please, or if you guys can, please support Goldie on his over on his Instagram, as again, that is something that he is very passionate about doing, and he wants to make sure that awesome things come from it. So if you want, you can talk about it in more detail.
I would greatly appreciate the follow.
Oh,
but,
okay, yeah, sorry. I was like, thought you were gonna
but
say
you
more.
don't have to.
But yeah,
No,
that would definitely greatly. You would definitely greatly appreciate it, and
I would greatly appreciate it. I try to post at least somewhat frequently, but to call myself a professional would be a gross exaggeration. So don't expect too much. That's what I'm saying.
we respect your craft. Don't worry. But yeah, make sure you guys check out his Instagram. And of course, while you guys are at it, if you guys can, over on this end, if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure to hit that follow button down below and turn the bell icon so that you'll be notified exactly when I'm streaming. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon over there. While you guys are at it, make sure to check out the links down below as well, specifically the Discord, especially if you're interested in that Minecraft server that'll be starting up on Friday. As well as some of the other stuff like SoundCloud and all that fun stuff. If you guys haven't already, you can also hit the subscribe button if you want to directly support me. If you can't necessarily do that, that's completely fine. I'm just glad the guys took time to watch this. But regardless of all that, though, I hope you guys did enjoy. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. That was the... Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how to end this. Whatever. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.